Is we live? Is we live, ho? You know, we got to hear that echo. When you hear that echo, that's how you know we live, ho. When you hear that echo, that's how you know we live, ho. I'm live. I'm here. Everybody just calm down. Just calm down. First time podcast in the building. You know what I'm saying? I didn't forget about ya. I wouldn't forget about ya. Nah, I didn't forget about you. I didn't forget about you. We here, man. We just tapping in real quick, man, doing my research, man. It's going to be a good show. Good podcast worthy broadcast, man. A good podcast worthy broadcast is always good from the Perfect Timing Podcast off in your ass, man. A good podcast worthy broadcast from the Perfect Timing Podcast off in your ass. Share the show right now, ho. You ain't got nothing else to do, man. It's the afternoon. Yeah, man. Share the show, man. That's what we doing, man. Right now, share the show. Station identification. Station identification. There go the station identifier. Perfect Timing Podcast with the blast on your ass. My name is Perfect, the founder. This is a professional podcast. Do not try this at home. Everything today is meant and created by a professional comedian and broadcaster. Perfect, the founder, and meant to be for entertainment purposes. Nothing you hear today is meant to be bullying, maligning, insulting in any way, and also is protected by the statute that you see on your screen, fair use. Thank you for tuning in.
Holly Cool, Calico, Ness. Ooh.
Share the show.
I gasp for air, open my eyes, my mother cry. The moment was polarized, raise ocean tides. They planning fear in us like poltergeist. The Lion King that the vultures fight. Museums confiscated scriptures I write. Where the righteous and heathens collide to fall before the pride. Gang signs to identify the tribe. I had to fast from getting a GMO supersized. The tires condor fly. I shed tears when my comrades died. While I'm parent with Braysville. Almost died when them shots hit the Coupe de Ville. The offsprings of slaves in the field, waving pistols, playing drill. We lost casualties like Hamburger Hill. Bitches walking in heels. It's foreign language, my nigga. If we ain't talking about meals, I swear it broke my heart to hear Colorado hate. Especially those from the Box State. Their whole weight. No matter how many stones they throw, never lose faith. My only focus is my daughter and filling up the safe. My peers die from drug overdoses. I recline on Persian sofas. A verse for me costs the same as a pair of Fendi loafers. When you on the highway to hell, Satan's your chauffeur. And we never seen the gates of heaven, waiting on Jehovah. I need to get sober, sedated by the venom of the cobra. We can't sit back and watch the devils devour our culture. The mills is kosher. I'm off the wheel in Nova Scotia. 86 Nova, with gun-toting soldiers turn the op into a cool. All we had was love, no hell below, nor heaven above. The game took a few from alcohol and drugs. We must teach the babies how to rise above. We was hot and cool. All we had was love, no hell below, nor heaven above. The game took a few from alcohol and drugs. We must teach the babies how to rise above. Holly cool, Holly, 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 Holly cool, Holly, 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 Holly cool, Holly, 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 Holly cool.
Was too hot. 316, we was kings, having pebbles like bedrock. You came short up on that cream, let it ring at your head top. We hit the block with those things, you give you smoke like a headshot. Getting money like making bread, I put the loaf in the bread box. We rolling up stash house and shit, you get at the med shop. No scoping like Call of Duty, bitch, don't get your head shot.
From rags to riches to finer things, real kings do real things. From wearing handcuffs to the diamond rings, real kings do real things. Staying solid to the club and respecting the game, real kings do real things. Facing 100 years and never saying the name, real kings do real things. Ooh.
Hold on, man. Oh, man.
Call it, Mr. Mason. Hide the dice, hide the dice, hide the dice,
Worthy off your ass today, Monday. Motivation.
You boys better get out of here. Class is getting ready to start. And leave the dice and the cards. What happened to you today? I don't understand you. You read poetry books and history books for fun. And you make the worst grades in 2 states. You didn't even try to make up the midterm you missed. Don't you want to graduate? Don't much matter. Man. For 10 years, man, I've been pushing kids through this school just so that when they applied for a job, they could write high school graduate on their job application. That's why when I find a guy who has potential, I hate to see him keep messing up. Son, what is it you want? No. With your brains, you can have it. Whatever it is, man, knowledge will get it for you. Don't you want something? I want to live forever. You through, Mr. Mason? Yeah, man, I'm through. And the next time you're in trouble, don't count on me. Jail or anything else. You got it. Yeah, who else?
Holly, cool. Let's go. Monday motivation. Don't you want something? I know I do. Holly, cool. Let's go.
Damn him. Who you think he is, guys?
Oh, Finesse, Calico, Eddie James,
Who you think you is, baby?
Slice in the Fleet, Holly Cool,
Let's go.
lay it on me, bitch.
You're so cool. 5.0.
I couldn't bow my head and say my grace, knowing that the fiends will always need a taste. My only goal in life is to fill up the safe and keep that 40 cal in reach, cause I ain't feeling safe when the man extends his hand. Look him in the face and let me make the box proud before they take my place.
Let me make the box proud before they take my place.
Stony amongst the box state greats. My iPhone notes been in a state of grace. 86 baby born to loose ends and 80s breaks. Wavy 80, I slide through with more weight than the greatest lakes. The new black man is still. I never fly down on a bitch and save a grace. Corners bent in Delta 88s. Beatrice hands you blade. Take out the whole crazy 88. 38. On the fuzz, MPH 45. I was going 88. Steve McQueen with Great Escape. I'm gone. Went around the world in 80 days. Made the world a greater place. In a 249 can buy deals. Hey, lady, lay. Every day I pray for niggas to keep it cool before I radiate. Then fly before the right brothers, I aviate. Never gonna be the nigga with pocket aces and call and fold up to try to play it safe.
I couldn't bow my head and say my grace, knowing that the fiends will always need a taste. My only goal in life is to fill up the safe and keep that 40 cal in reach, cause I ain't feeling safe when the man extends his hand. Look him in the face and let me make the box proud before they take my place.
Let me make the box proud before they take my place.
Mama said, how you gonna get right around them sinners? The pops and sippers, Garrison brothers playing the spinners. To heat the home, we use the stove in the winter. Now it's gourmeted, plated meals for our dinner. I'm on an elephant like Hannibal. The bitch hit the line like Earl Campbell. Hit you in your curl with extendo longer than Rambo's. Burning non-chompers, scented candles. I don't give these hoes no money, maybe some pearls and Chanel sandals. My back felt the tip of the dagger. I fell in the rabbit hole rescued by the Mad Hatter. Alcohol did a number on my bladder. I was in Colorado Corrections when my little brother got splattered. The pain smothered our laughter. U.S. Marshals put us in chains after the capture. My code made from meerkat and leopard with a lost sheep that was ignored by the shepherds. Even with broken wings, we soared over the pressure. Hoping the parole board would see it from my perspective. Demons that look like models kept me from my blessings. I fasted and prayed that my foes didn't catch me slipping and blast away. At times I talk to myself like Tom Hanks from Castaway. I held back in tears where the kings and queens casket lay. Followed by the dark skies and purple rain on the cloudy day. The child is God's gift. Don't be stooped by the snake sis. Some light on the wrist, scraping fish scale off the dish. Too many loved ones got lost in the abyss. Others refused to be slaves and hopped off the ship. No squares allowed. Always tell my circle how they made me proud. Love y'all. Blowing smoke the size of a cloud. Let something loud off on these clowns. Fendi sweats at the lounge. I remember pitching off the mound. Now I levitate off the ground. The flies from the fleet hit it, elevate the sound.
Elevated.
It's all.
Orange Flesh, man. Orange Flesh, ladies and gentlemen. Orange Flesh, man. Y'all say it at home, man. Make a hashtag for me right now, man. Orange Flesh, man. Orange Flesh, man. That's all I want, man. Ask me what I want. Go ahead, ask me. Ask me what I want, man. I'm going to tell you right now. Orange Flesh. Can you hear me? Am I close enough to the microphone? Let me say it again. Orange Flesh. Orange as in the color orange. Halloween coming up. Oogity boogity boogity boo. So orange and flesh. Like your ass. That you need to wash today. Today's theme is highly cool. Hashtag orange flesh. Highly cool. Highly cool. Hashtag orange flesh. That's today's podcast theme. That's how we rocking today. Highly cool. Hashtag orange flesh. Who don't want no orange flesh in their life? You know what I'm talking about? Highly cool orange flesh. That's what I'm on. Orange flesh. Ask me what I want. Say it in the chat. What you want? Perfect. What you want? We want perfect. We want easy. Pound, 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 pound. Orange flesh. And I didn't make it up. That's what it is, though. A pound of flesh. A pound of orange flesh. It's good, too. Have you ever had orange flesh? Are there any fans of flesh? You might like white flesh. Me, I got a bowl of orange flesh. It's the flavor of the month. Everybody want orange flesh. It seems to be what's on the menu. Everybody's so excited and so happy for a pound of flesh. We live in a time where people just want a pound of flesh. They don't care whose it is. A pound of flesh. Orange flesh, black flesh, ADOS, indigenous. It don't really matter what you call yourself. Native, a pound of flesh. I don't know if people thought that they would live to these times where you would be able to live in a time where a pound of flesh is what's so desirable and so valuable. Give them 10 years. Give them 20 years. A pound of flesh is all we need. It makes you think about the story in the Bible. And I know people don't like when I talk about the Bible, about Barabbas and Jesus. And, you know, they had a chance to let Jesus go. Jesus had rumors of doing miracles, going against the establishment, the established religion. Like the established religion, the established narrative, the established message ain't the real shit. This is what Perfect Timing be telling you. The established narrative, Jesus wasn't with that. And he backed it up. He's on the ground. He's off the porch. Jesus was outside. Right? He outside doing the work of the people, feeding people, helping hoes, helping criminals and shit. Blind motherfuckers could see, motherfuckers with herpes and all that shit. I cure all that. Uncurable. I got you. I got you. Right? The Pharisees didn't like that. That's fucking up their donations. Hang this nigga up. The Pharaoh like, well, man, I can't do that. He said he's the son of God. He been out here. He outside. He doing shit. The people fuck with him. I need the people on my side, i.e. Constantine, 300 AD. This can go in the Bible. That can't go in the Bible. I need the people to fuck with me. I can't do that. Who y'all want? Give us Barabbas. Who is Barabbas? Well, Barabbas is a murdering Tupac thug individual. You know what I'm saying? Jim Jones, Bird Gang, all that stupid shit. You know what I'm saying? Give us Barabbas. A pound of flesh. We desire a pound of flesh. I don't care who he is. I don't care what he represents. What does the crowd? Bread and circus. I desire a pound of flesh. 5 days on vacation. Maui, how many days I've been doing Maui? I've been doing Maui on fire and Kiki Cuckoo on fire. It's a fire party and a Rico party. Rico party, fire party. If you don't got a Rico, we gonna send you a climate event and some orange flesh, and it's so good. If you don't have a Rico, oh my God, that bite was so good because I was talking too long. Oh, that was so good. No, I mean, make me want to even want to talk to you, motherfucker. Send me a cash app, man. I need a motherfucking cash app. I need 100 likes. I need 100,000 likes, 100,000 subscribers because I already got orange flesh. I got orange flesh. I got the perspective. I got my Funko Pops. I got toys. I got bitches. I got orange flesh, y'all. Sit in the cash app, you monkey motherfuckers. I'm not gonna visit you for 5 days just like the president did. See, the president don't give no fuck. Hey, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. If you don't sit in the cash app, you ain't 5.0. God damn it. I mean, I forgot to turn on the subscribers only. I forgot to turn on the subscribers only. But don't nobody chat if they don't subscribe any damn way. But I was about to turn on the subscribers only. Because I want my pound of flesh. You get your pound of flesh. I want my pound of flesh. Orange flesh. Oh, it's so good. It tastes better than the sound, I'm trying to tell you. Nah, for real, though. It tastes better than the sound. Nah, I ain't gonna lie to you. I wouldn't do that to you. No, man, it tastes better than the sound. Oh, every crispy, crunchy bite is so good. It's so good. A pound of flesh. A pound of flesh. I was doing my research, and you know what? Shout out to Big Facts Podcast. I've been doing this YouTube thing for a minute, and I've been, grinding. And I thank everybody for watching and supporting, getting us, the goal was 1,000 subscribers and, just the attention paid to the channel and everything. People listening, thank you. The brother from Big Facts Podcast, he hit me up a while ago, and he talked to me about becoming a YouTuber. He saw my show. He thought I did good content. And he talked about the rap trap a long time ago. And he talked about this year being a Rico year. and how he felt like the RICO would be popular. And I listened to him, but I don't know if people who listen to 1090 Jake or Big Facts podcast understand. And we're going to go in today the difference between a federal RICO and a state RICO. We talked about it. See, this is the reason why we talk about these cases. It's not about the people involved in the cases, so that you understand how your Democratic Republic actually works, and how and why Donald Trump is facing this RICO in Georgia. It's never by accident. It's never by happenstance. That's not how you got Barabbas and Jesus up there on the same day. Do you think it was a coincidence that the people had the choice between Barabbas and Jesus? I'm asking the question. Do you think that was a coincidence? It's the same thing when it comes down to the people. When you got $5 gas, when you got groceries and your energy bills and your rent is astronomically high, they're not paying you more at work, and you don't care about these things. You don't care that Trump is indicted in Georgia. You don't care about the district attorney, who she is, and her background, right? For all Americans, and why they choose her to give you the pound of flesh that you desire. Because you need a pound of flesh. You can't pay your rent. You can't buy gas. You can't buy food. Give me a pound of flesh, perfect. I deserve a pound of flesh. Give me Barabbas. Give me Barabbas. I want a pound of flesh, perfect, because I don't have anything else. That's why I wear my gold chain. That's why I wear my Jordan sneakers. That's why I drive my Mercedes Benz. Because I don't have a life, I don't have family, I don't have love, I don't have children and people around me. I don't have these things, so I need a pound of flesh. Give me a pound of flesh, perfect. Orange flesh. God damn it. So good. Biden said no comment. Oh, shit. How many electoral votes in Hawaii? Nobody even brought that shit up. How many electoral votes in Hawaii? Anybody know? Hey, we got hurricanes in California. I bet Biden say something about that. Why you think Biden is going to be on top of Hurricane Hilary and he ain't said shit about Maui? How many electoral votes in California? California, one of the biggest states, one of the most profitable states, has one of the most electoral votes. Y'all know how presidents are elected, right? You don't elect the president. You elected the president by electoral votes per state. This is the indictment from Georgia, electoral votes. Y'all remember back to Florida, back to Bush v. Gore. They talk about this shit like we not paying attention, like we don't want a pound of flesh too. I like flesh. I like pig feet. Hog maws. Pig feet. Act like we don't remember nothing. They don't want us to remember nothing. They don't want us to remember nothing. So we're gonna have to remind everybody. Shout out to my brother AO, Big Facts Podcast. And we're gonna talk about the RICO party. Y'all heard about the RICO party, but y'all didn't. I don't think people understood the extent of the RICO party and why. Because my brother, a lot of the brothers who understood this and saw the writing on the wall. I'm in California. I'm not down here. I'm not seeing these DA races. But these brothers down south who's been to prison, who's changed their life, who actually have the wisdom of the streets and now being entrepreneurs, business owners, successful husbands. Shout out to that type of shit, fathers. they had a different perspective and understanding about RICO. It wasn't about the men. It wasn't necessarily about, see, people thought when these brothers were telling you that RICOs were coming down the pipeline and you would see multiple RICOs statewide, it wasn't about the particular act, heinous acts, because you don't see heinous acts. I gave you the demographics on who's committing the crime, who got the money to commit the crime, right? It's not blacks, right? So it's not the fact that black men are acting out. That was the portrayal, right? To set y'all up for RICO season, right? All of the TikToks, the tweets, the shorts, the reels of people who suspectedly, allegedly look African American, but no clear, and none of the videos that you see, so much so that the country song said these ain't even black people that are doing the robberies. But as far as the internet is concerned, the most powerful messaging tool ever invented, social media, blacks have been running rampant. They've been running in stores. They've been running in jewelry stores, despite them replaying the same video again. I saw a video the other day of a situation, and someone kept saying, and this is the 10 now, because it's so popular and everybody wants a pound of flesh, you see videos all the time, and they're like, that video's 3 years old. That video's 10 years old. Here's the person now. Why is the video coming up now? Why is the video trending on Twitter and TikTok now? It didn't even, no one even remembers the video, so you can show it in 2023 like it's a brand new video. And people are upset. And social media companies are making money off of videos that are 3 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old. Now, you might think it's a coincidence. I know it's not a coincidence. I understand that these social media companies, because I'm an old nigga, had trouble making money. And to this day, Apple, Twitter, they all had trouble coming up with a model of how to make money. This is why Facebook does all these other type of investments. So this is how I understand and know why they do the things that they do, to trigger individuals, right? It's all about triggering individuals. Let's take a look at some things. I got some things lined up here for you today. What we gonna get into? Let's get into, I want to get into the RICO season, right? We're going to get into RICO season. I'm going to spend some time on that. Really quickly, though, Joe Biden is supposed to be visiting Maui today. Does anybody know, has Joe Biden hit ground in Maui? Because when he does, we're going to go there live. So I don't know if if we're live when he hits ground. So it looked like he already touched down. It says what will do during visit, but I don't know. I don't know if he's, because I keep seeing reports of him supposedly going to visit, but I don't see him actually visiting as of yet. So let's show a couple things about Biden's visit to Hawaii, and then we're gonna get to the RICO party, and then we're gonna talk about California Hurricane Hilary, and give you guys some pictures, because I know you guys like looking at the pictures.
No comment. He don't have nothing to say about people losing their lives, people losing their homes. What kind of president is he?
Because when you say no comment, that's telling me that you really don't care, or you really didn't have nothing in plan for something that will happen like this.
So the president leaves in about 2.5 hours from Lake Tahoe from his vacation to go to Maui. He spends a couple hours on the ground, then goes back to Lake Tahoe to continue his vacation, comes back here to the White House on Saturday.
No comment. He don't have nothing to say about people losing their lives, people losing their homes.
So did y'all catch that? So just so y'all get the timeline, it's been 5 days since this is the biggest natural disaster in the state of Hawaii. They've never seen a fire like this. Up to 1,300 people missing. We're over 100 people found as far as the body count. And the timeline is POTUS is visiting for a couple hours today, but it's been 5 days. Up until now, he hasn't had a comment and he hasn't visited Hawaii. I ask you to reminisce. We talked about Katrina and how damaging it was for Bush to fly over. Remember that picture? People make memes about it. It was hilarious. Because it ended his political career. It showed Bush in Air Force One out the window looking all concerned at Katrina. Let me get the light on. Hold on, let me hit you one more time. Yeah, I mean, that's how President Bush was looking out the window, right? At Katrina, but he never touched ground. And it was American tragedy and disaster that defined his presidency. We have a similar event in Maui, and yet again, another American president with the precedents. Check that out. I did that on purpose. With the precedents of Katrina not acting appropriately. So we got this guy on vacation and not making a comment, and then not actually going out to visit the people. And then we say, today he's supposed to visit for a couple hours. I haven't seen the visit take place, but then he's going to leave and go right back to vacation.
I'll give him an F.
I gave him a straight C.
I would say standard typical of most U.S. presidents, so I give it about a B.
Will you come talk about the Hawaii response, Mr. President?
No comment. He don't have nothing to say about people losing their lives, people losing their homes. What kind of president is he?
In his position, he shouldn't say no comment. He should have tried to figure out to say something to please the people instead of saying no comment. Because when you say no comment, that's telling me that you really don't care, or you really didn't have nothing in plan for something that will happen like this.
He should respond as quickly and as possibly and get the funding out there so that the residents of Hawaii can get themselves together. So I think, as it comes to that, it's the government is doing what it should be doing.
Of course, he would step in and not make any kind of hesitation about what has to be done. We know what has to be done. FEMA is there. They're gonna jump in and do this, and the whole rest of this country needs to get into that as well and help that terrible event and help the people there.
I think it's sad that that's going on. And some people have lost their life, and some people lost their homes. I think it's utterly ridiculous.
We need to help the Hawaiian people out completely. Rebuild the whole thing.
As far as presidents go, you are in a high position. You should know like the country is falling apart, or some places needs fixing. That's why I think everybody's going to give him that C average, because like I said, he's trying, but it's not the best what we've seen.
Similar to the way I would rate it to the balloon that went across the entire country, and we did nothing till it traversed our entire nation.
The Maui thing, he didn't. I think he could have did more, but I think he did as much as he could as far as what he had.
What y'all think, man? What y'all think, man? I got a poll up right now. Y'all let me know if y'all think, y'all can vote in the poll how you think POTUS is doing on this Maui response. It's been several days. I just played you two different timelines of going back to the 9th of August till now. He hasn't said anything. There hasn't been a national response from the president or America on this tragedy, over 1,000 missing, and he hasn't visited the biggest tragedy ever to befall Hawaii. Now, it's the state, but it's a special state because it's an island. We gave you a history on how we took it. We took Hawaii, we made it a territory, we made it a country, then we made a state. The same people who took it illegally from the queen, the Doles. You buy Dole pineapples? Well, the Dole family illegally seized control of Hawaii from the queen. Now, we always heard about the queen abdicating her throne and writing Hawaii. I always thought the queen signed a piece of paper. I never knew the true history of Hawaii until I did my history, and I showed you on the show here today. Well, I mean, not today, but go back and look at my past podcast, and you will see Hawaii's history timeline. You'll see the Dole family came over as missionaries, quote unquote missionaries. Ain't that funny? How white people always show up with the Bible, then they end up actually fucking you and killing you and taking your land and fucking your woman, taking your resources. So the Doles show up with the Bible as missionaries, talking about they need to be friends with the Hawaiians. They take the throne from the queen illegally against the president. The United States president tells the Dole family, give the throne back to Hawaii. They say no. They turn Hawaii into a country. The first king of Hawaii was a white man. His last name was Dole, who has stole a crown from the indigenous people. They don't tell you this shit. You know what ends up happening? They don't invade. You think America would invade. So you're going to create a country, right? No, fuck that. We're going to bomb you and take Hawaii back. They didn't do that. You know what they did? They made a deal with the Doles to turn Hawaii into a state. And guess who was the first governor? The same motherfucker who robbed the queen, stole her crown, turned it into a country, said fuck America, gave up his American citizenship, then brought back in magically back into favor with America, and now he's the governor of Hawaii. The first governor is Dole, who was actually the first king who stole the throne. So that's just to let you know the history of Hawaii, as Biden doesn't go there in the first 5 days. And now they're announcing that FEMA on the ground, and I'm afraid what might happen. We saw what Oprah was saying almost 2 weeks ago. So that's my first story right there. Biden is supposed to make landfall today in Maui. If he does so while we live, y'all let me know in the chat. My 5.0 representatives who love me, y'all let me know in the chat. If Biden touches down, we'll go to Biden live. So next thing I want to do, you guys, this is going to be where we're going to spend the bulk of the time of the podcast today. We're going to go down the podcast rabbit hole right now. We're going to talk about the Trump indictment, and we're going to talk about Fani Willis, the DA. Now, today when I did my research on the Trump indictment, what I saw is this whole RICO in Georgia and how the RICO in Georgia has been used in the past. And this is why I was giving props to the Big Facts podcast, the Rap Trap, and AO, who host the Big Facts podcast. The creator of the Big Facts podcast, not the one you may know, but on YouTube, the creator of the Rap Trap, the Big Facts podcast, AO Kaseko, and his expose on RICO season. He's the first one before 1090J to talk about RICO season. So when I was doing my research, what I found is that Fani Willis, yes, is doing the RICO against YSL. But then before that, Fani Willis was not the DA, right? She had her own private practice where she represented the co-founder of YSL and defended him successfully. Funny enough, on a similar charge as Tory Lanez, she got him off on an aggravated assault charge involving a weapon. He didn't do any time similar to Tory Lanez, but Tory Lanez got 10 years for aggravated assault with the weapon. That's just a little bit of background why you need to pay attention to these cases and the charges and who and how they prosecute, right? So before Fani Willis had her own private office where she was representing and defending YSL, which sounds like a conflict of interest. Guess what Fani Willis was doing? She was working for the Atlanta DA, and she used RICO in the past. Yeah, Fani Willis has been known to use RICO in Atlanta, and Georgia's RICO is more broad, where you don't have to be actually hurting people to have a RICO case held against you. So I thought, hey, YSL is the most famous RICO in Georgia, and now they got Trump. Well, guess what? YSL is not the most famous and most expensive RICO, and neither is Trump. Actually, it's a case we all might remember. Do you guys, and this is where we go down the podcast rabbit hole, do you guys remember the teacher scandal, where over 100 teachers were charged in the RICO for cheating? No, not the white women in Los Angeles who didn't get any time and whose daughters probably still remained in those Ivy League schools because they don't talk about it anymore. No, not those white people. But in Atlanta, over 10 years ago, there's something called No Child Left Behind. We're going to get into it in the video. But in Atlanta, over 10 years ago, over 30 black women were sent to prison and prosecuted for cheating. Now, I'm going to play you a couple of videos about that particular case, because the funny thing is that the background that I found when I looked at the case is this case was part of a broader national case, right? And in this broader national case, everybody in the whole country was under investigation. But for some reason, Atlanta school, an Atlanta black school district was pointed out, and only black women were prosecuted in the whole nation. The reason I say this is because a lot of you may not know what No Child Left Behind is. It was a presidential decree from the late Bush president. It's important as we talk about all these things. It's so funny that God and the content is so blessing to us, because we've talked about all of these topics from a peripheral standpoint, right? We've talked about all these topics from a peripheral standpoint. So you got Fannie Willis involved in the RICO case. That's a national investigation about bubble tests. I've talked to you about Common Core. I was involved with the PTA and the LCAP committee in California. So I was very integral in the beginning stages of Common Core. So I like to talk to parents about Common Core, because I know a lot of parents, and especially black parents and single parents, are not aware of what Common Core is. But if you remember the funny videos during the time when everybody was on quarantine, where children were using laptops, I say this was all possible because of Common Core. Common Core ushered in the laptop and the online learning well before quarantine, as if they knew quarantine was going to come. I'm not a conspiracy person, but you need to understand the difference between when me and you went to school and we had standardized testing with bubble tests. Like I asked you to score in the poll, A, B, C, or D, bubble test, and D was all of the above. Well, that got thrown away, and now we use Common Core. The bubble tests were poo-poo. I remember the bubble test, and I remember this indictment and this RICO. This RICO was kind of how they sold you on Common Core, and bubble test, Scantron bubble testing not being good for kids because teachers were cheating. So now you have Common Core. This is a great story to talk about as we talk about this, because parents need to know about Common Core, how your children are being taught. A lot of parents are upset about the grouping and the new math, right? Because it's a math which you can't help your child because it's different in the style of math than you learn. This is Common Core, how they're teaching the kids, and we have this illiteracy rate. And the people are saying, why do we have this illiteracy rate? But not understanding that the way that they teach your child has changed. So let's go into this story about, and this is why I say we're going in the rabbit hole of the podcast. This is what I love about podcasting, because we get to go in the rabbit hole and we get to link all these things together. In case you didn't know about No Child Left Behind, this is when you didn't get flunked anymore, where even if you didn't pass the 4th grade, they put you in the 5th grade, because during the Bush presidency, there were too many people not graduating high school. And Bush said, no, you don't get held back anymore. It's No Child Left Behind. So whether you pass the test or not, we pushing you forward. They made schools compete with each other, and it was very detrimental to inner city and single parents not race, not sex, single parents in low-income households, right? So you have Common Core as a fix to No Child Left Behind, and no longer having standardized testings. You got the laptops, which was perfect timing. That's my name, right? Which was perfect timing for the quarantine. Ain't that something? Ain't that something, you guys, that we get Common Core right on time? Now, you guys know about Texas Instruments. You know about the books that are made in Texas. You know about the Ghislaine Maxwell father. You know about CRT. Now we getting into this shit, y'all. Unpacking the conspiracies. We unpacking how America works. But really what we're going to talk about today is this pound of flesh. And we're going to talk about how this RICO had been used before and how it was singled out. And I'm going to get into my opinion on why this Atlanta office is special. Why this Atlanta DA office is special. And I mean it.
A former superintendent and 34 for employees accused of an elaborate scheme to fake test scores. 3 of them already turning themselves in this morning. And ABC's Steve Osinsami has the very latest from Atlanta. Steve, good morning.
Good morning, Amy. These are school principals, teachers, test coordinators, even a school secretary, and they all have to turn themselves into the jail today. Early this morning, the first of many mugshots. Tamika Goodson, a school improvement specialist, turning herself in, brought down by the huge cheating scandal rocking Atlanta.
As a parent that wants the best for their child, I'm very disappointed.
The same teachers and school administrators who were bragging just a few years ago about double-digit improvements in standardized test results, now charged with racketeering, theft, and false statements, and they've lawyered up. At one school, investigators say the principal and his teachers held after-school parties where they sat around and corrected tests before turning them in to be graded.
The financial terms were a motivation all across the board.
The indictments read like a rap on the mob, and the boss is former Atlanta school.
So what they're saying is these teachers colluded to cheat on tests to get bonuses. Pay attention.
Superintendent Beverly Hall, who could see up to 45 years in prison if convicted. She's one of the few expected to spend the night in jail. Her bond could be set as high as $7.5 million. She's accused of firing teachers who couldn't produce higher test scores, giving bonuses to those who did, and ignoring clear signs that teachers were cheating to make the scores happen.
That's conflating two different things, because a part of No Child Left Behind, teachers were fired for low test scores, and it would have been her job to fire teachers for low test scores as part of No Child Left Behind. But they're saying in this case that she did so in collusion to make money. Let's listen, y'all.
She and other accused educators are shouting their innocence.
I am actually considered a criminal for doing the best I can for children all my life.
When the going was good, Superintendent Hall was a hero. She earned more than $500,000 in bonuses and was named a National Superintendent of the Year. The Atlanta newspaper that broke the story looked across the country and found 196 school districts with equally suspicious scores.
Okay, so now we start the rabbit hole and we start the Black Man podcasting. A national investigation. And if you look at this map, what you're going to find is the majority of these areas are what? Predominantly Black. So you have a focus of an investigation on predominantly Black areas and predominantly Black school districts, and focusing on predominantly Black kids who are performing highly. Let's get this straight from the beginning on what's going on. You have an investigation. You're looking at the map. Blacks represent what, 13 to 20%. You have an investigation, and you can look and see, you see the Bible Belt represented. You see all the Black areas of Chicago, San Francisco, New York. Most of these areas that are investigated are Black school districts, Black principals, superintendents, and Black children who scored highly on these standardized testing and now are getting funding. And again, just like the affirmative action decision that was just a couple weeks ago, somebody upset that Black kids and that are doing well, and they must be cheating, and the teachers now think about this, you guys. And it's this Atlanta DA office Now, this Atlanta DA out of all the entire nation. Now, nobody's on standardized testing anymore. In this art, you see where they had the bubble testing. Now, when I talk about bubble testing versus Common Core, let me go back. Let me see if I can show you where. Let's see if they got a. This is a bubble test.
And ignoring clear.
These are the Scantron bubble tests, right? Compared to Common Core. So when I say Scantron bubble test, this is what I mean. If you don't recall, if you don't remember, if it's been a minute since you've been in school, they're saying that the teachers cheated on these Scantron bubble tests. Now, the investigation said that the entire nation is having a problem with cheating as a respect. Now, this goes directly to affirmative action and how high test scores do not correlate to intelligence because they understood these problems with these bubble Scantron tests. Remember, I've been talking to you guys for 2 weeks now about high test scores, single parent households, and look what God delivered us. God delivered us even more context into what it is about behind the high and low test scores of the Scantron bubble test, PSAT, SATs, and the Kaplan and all this shit. So now you see how we went from this to Common Core. This is a landmark RICO case. What you will hear is that this is the most expensive prosecution ever put on by Georgia. This black district attorney who lost the district attorney because people were pissed off that they targeted black women. And Fannie Willis won after this man prosecuted only black women. He lost. And Fannie Willis, who wrote up this RICO, took over. This is Fannie Willis all over from the beginning. If you didn't know who Fannie Willis was, it's not just her improprieties in Trump and in YSL. It goes back. Now I'm going to play another video. I'm going to finish this video. We just getting started. I'm going to spend a lot of time on this today. I'm going to lay this all the way out. Because there's a lot of Democratic shills who are celebrating the Donald Trump indictment by Fannie Lewis, who were calling for Fannie Lewis to be removed as district attorney, the same way a white senator is asking for Fannie Lewis to be removed as district attorney because she is power hungry and she overuses this RICO, overreaching. That's why she wasn't DA. That's why she was representing YSL Mondo. She was no longer DA because of the negative stench that was placed upon her from only charging black female teachers from a nationwide issue with the Scantron bubble testing. That's what today's show is about. This rogue district attorney office, this rogue black district attorney office that's been used time and time again to go after black people in order to put forth policy and legislation. They are used. These are Democratic agents, coons, and shills who have been used over and over. Did you see in the story where they trotted out a black mother to start fake crying over her black child, and then the same black DA charged 35 black women? This shit you can't make up. This is the soldier story, nigga, all over this. This is why I don't like them down south niggas, and this is why I don't like Atlanta, and they celebrate Atlanta, and they don't tell you the truth. Now, if you unpack this story, and in the age of the YSL defendants, it's possible that YSL defendants, that Fannie Lewis goes out there for 15 years probation, and they so stupid that they take it, could possibly be students who got abused in this RICO case. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? I said in the beginning that Atlanta made Young Thug. Now it's even deeper. Atlanta not only made Young Thug, Atlanta made YSL, Atlanta made YFN. What do you mean, Perfect? Atlanta had these teachers, Atlanta had this RICO DA office, and no one thought about the kids and what those kids would become. No one thought about those children. Those 10 years ago, they are 20 years old now, and they are the ones running around Atlanta causing all this crime. You didn't educate them. You didn't raise them, Fannie Lewis. It's the same Democratic playbook from Joe Biden where he said, I don't care how you got this way. I'm going to throw you away with 3 strikes in jail forever. Y'all need to understand who Fannie Willis is. I'm going in on this case today, and I'm going to take my time. We just getting started.
Signs that teachers were cheating to make the scores happen. She and other accused educators are shouting their innocence.
I am actually considered a criminal for doing the best I can for children all my life.
When the going was good, Superintendent Hall was a hero. She earned more than $500,000 in bonuses and was named a National Superintendent of the Year. The Atlanta newspaper that broke the story looked across the country and found 196 school districts with equally suspicious scores.
No one wants to hear that those improving test scores aren't for real.
Many teachers across.
No one wants to hear that those improving test scores aren't for real. Improving from who? From the black students? Because I didn't see nobody investigated that were white, Asian, or non-black. The only suspicion arose when it was black students performing well. And they blamed teachers for cheating. And I don't see any investigations to black students actually did well. So let's unpack this story. Let's unpack this RICO. Let's unpack Miss Fannie Willis. We're going to get into this RICO, y'all. I got a video. It's a pretty long video, but I don't care. Everybody in the manosphere unpack Larry Elder. All this time. I don't give a shit about Larry Elder, dumbass. Larry Elder been around since Donahue. Larry Elder was on Montel. He been running for the presidency for 20 years, and everybody unpacking Larry Elder like he said something new, man. The manosphere get on my fucking nerves, man. Fuck Larry Elder and them same old ass talking points. That's like breaking down Jesse Lee Peterson and something he said, and he been saying the same shit since we was kids. These niggas is hella much older than us and been saying the same Uncle Tom Coon shit since we was kids. I agree with him on the nuclear family, but just because he talk about the nuclear family, that don't mean we need to celebrate this cat. So I'm not feeling no type of way about this video I'm about to break down being a long video. I don't care. This video is a long video. We're going to break it down. We're going to watch the whole video, and we're going to stop it and go because you got to stop and go for fair use purposes, fair use. This video is from a guy who's a popular Democrat, a guy who's probably very happy at the Trump indictment, a guy who's probably celebrating Fannie Willis indicting Trump. But now in this, several years ago, he did a story about the indictment of these teachers in Atlanta. And he was very critical of this DA office, the same DA office that these same liberal Democrats are championing today. They called for her removal back to the beginning of my podcast. Give us Barabbas. They wanted her removed. That's why she wasn't DA and was able to represent YSL Mondo. And then magically they fell back in favor with Fannie with the Abrams. And when Abrams didn't win, this is the way they're getting back at Trump for Abrams not winning. But let's get and unpack this RICO case. From a nationwide investigation, I need you to understand, nationwide investigation behind standardized bubble tests. A lot of people may agree that there was something wrong with No Child Left Behind, and there was something wrong with standardized bubble tests. And a lot of you will remember this RICO case. Now, you mix all that together, you get yourself Common Core. And how do you get there? A pound of flesh. Who is the pound of flesh? 35 black women as superintendent, and how many black children who went uneducated and not a priority, who end up in gangs like YFN, YSL, and the same people who prosecuted their teachers now prosecute the students. No one is talking about these.
This case has the power to modify the sentence, which is important because The educators that are appealing this case maintain their innocence. But even for folks that believe that they committed the crimes they were convicted of, this never should have been a criminal case, and it's absolutely unconscionable to send educators to prison over standardized test scores, especially in the middle of a pandemic. The judge could modify the sentence, the prosecutor could support that, and they could take the prison option off the table for not only Dana, but the 6 other educators who are still appealing their case.
The homeless problem is getting worse. It's not getting.
This is a complicated and messy, but really a stunning use of the criminal legal system for an issue. Shani, can you give us a little bit of backdrop? You were a first grade teacher during all of this. What happened? How did we end up seeing so many teachers arrested, charged, indicted, convicted? How did this happen?
Well, the year in question was 2009, and as you stated, I was a first grade teacher. But there have been some complaints that eventually came out in the local newspaper, the AJC. And so what happened was there was an erasure analysis done across the entire state of Georgia. And what they found is that 20% of the schools in Georgia had high levels of wrong to right erasures. And so each school system, well, 2 school systems in particular, had to do further investigations by the GBI. And so I actually got a phone call from a Georgia Bureau of Investigations agent.
So again, a national investigation dwindled down to a state investigation, dwindled down to 2 school districts, predominantly Black, led by a Black woman.
In 2010, and I met up with him. I did not have an attorney present, but I still agreed to meet with this agent. And he told me that in my class specifically, there were high levels of wrong to right erasures. And he says, "Can you explain this?" And I say no. Then he pulls out a pre-written voluntary statement form that basically said I didn't have any knowledge of cheating and that I didn't cheat. And he asked me to sign the form. Later, we learned that that form was actually used against a lot of educators. In March of 2013, the news came out that 35 educators, mostly Black, have been indicted on racketeering charges. And the mainstream narrative was that we cheated to get bonus money, so that we were cheating to get a payoff, which could not have been further from the truth. One of the lead investigators on the case actually testified on the witness stand later during trial that bonus money provided little incentive to actually cheat. But we were facing.
So just to break down, so we're going to stop right here. Remember the expose I just paid, where they were very bold. And again, that was a Black investigator. Y'all got to pay attention when they let Black reporters do the reporting. During Tory Lanez, you only saw Black women doing the reporting. That was a Black male investigator doing the reporting, and he was very passionate about that story, talking about teachers. He didn't say Black women, but the people he were talking about were 35 Black women, but he was very passionate, and he was saying that they cheated for money and they need to go to jail. But he didn't give you the background that she just shared with you, that was actually not true. And the facts came out in the case that they could not have cheated for money. This is much like the Young Thug case. If they could not have cheated for money, then you don't have a RICO, because you don't have a conspiracy to do anything criminal or wrong. If they didn't do it to get money because there was no money to get, then there's no RICO. But you're going to hear more details about that. But basically, what they about to get into, which was very illuminating to me as we think about YSL, and what actually is the crime with YSL, as the charges about the car, him renting the car for a murder. The conspiracy in the YSL RICO was Young Thug rented a car that was used to kill Peanut, the person Donald Trump said she was dating. But that got thrown out the case because the sheriffs illegally obtained that information. So what is the RICO based on now? The same question is with the teachers. What was the RICO based on? You could ask, why was it only black teachers? No white teachers nationally were ever charged. This is the only case like this. This is the only and first RICO case charging teachers. No white teachers have been charged with cheating, even though they know for a fact they cheated, which is why we're in Common Core now, and we no longer have standardized bubbles of testing. But the only teachers who paid for it were these 35 black women in Atlanta, Georgia. And this was the argument used to get you to Common Core. You have to pay attention. In this Atlanta DA office, in this DA, Fannie Willis specifically was used. By who? People will say it's the smart, dumb niggas in the manosphere. Who used her, Perfect? Who? I don't believe in this fictitious, racist white man. That's why they keep winning. That's why they keep winning. And the thing about it is, the people, the black people who say that stupid shit to you is why they keep going back to the same well, why they charge R. Kelly twice with the same crime and nobody paid attention, why they send the 82-year-old blind and crippled Bill Cosby to prison, but the 80-year-old bitch who lied about Emmett Till is not charged. The two men who beat, abused, murdered, mutilated him got acquitted. But Bill Cosby has to go to a motherfucking penitentiary. Pay attention to this case, y'all. Listen to what this is a first grade teacher. She's saying that, number one, my test scores as a first grade teacher wouldn't even count toward the bonus. And I met with this guy without a lawyer. She's facing jail time. She's facing going to jail as a teacher. Let's keep listening. And the people prosecuting them and who got promoted. My wife can speak to this about DAs that be dirty and that don't want to go back and fix the dirty shit that they did because they already got promoted. They already a boss. DAs be doing dirty shit and don't want to go back to fix the dirty shit that they did because they already got the points.
Anywhere between 20 and 50 years in prison, mostly because of the racketeering charge. And again, most of us did not receive any money. And I was a first grade teacher. My test scores did not count at all. But I later learned that during the interviewing process with the GBI agents, one of the teachers at my school, a former colleague, told the GBI agents that there were several of us in a computer lab erasing stray marks. I later learned that she got immunity for naming names, which is basically what happened, which is how a lot of people got thrown into this mess. You couldn't just...
That sounds like YSL, right? It sounds like this DA office was chosen for a reason. Because of the way the Georgia State RICO law was written, this is how we were going to get Common Core. This is how we're going to get rid of standardized bubble testing. This is how we're going to attack rappers. This is how we're going to blame blacks for all of the crime and drugs, even though we know the cartel controls the drug distribution and crime in America. And they know, the Atlanta DA office knows that after Big Meats left Atlanta, left power vacuum. You know, I heard an interview last week. It talked about the young boys in Atlanta talking about the cartel and how you get all your guns and your drugs in Atlanta to this day right now from the cartel. After Big Meats left, there was a vacuum. Big Meats created $1 billion cocaine distribution. When Neil deGrasse Tyson and these scientists talk about America, they said, we wish America didn't like cocaine so much. We do not talk about how much America loves cocaine and how much cocaine is consumed by Americans. There is I keep saying million, I'm sorry. Big Meats is not a cartoon. He's not a TV character. He created $1 billion distribution in Atlanta. The reason Big Meats got indicted by the feds is because the feds wanted him to give his distribution to the cartel because the white American government was going to work with the Mexican cartel to distribute cocaine in America, the same way they worked with Freeway Ricky Ross from the Snowfall TV show. Big Meats said no. Big Meats gets indicted. The cartel takes over the $1 billion distribution system via the freeways in Atlanta, which is why Big Meats in Detroit guys came to Atlanta for distribution. If you look at the TV show, they didn't have the dough. They moved to Atlanta for the ability, Southwest T, to distribute. They had the ability to set up distribution lines. The cartel wanted that. Now what you have in Atlanta is the cartel using these children who were miseducated by Fannie Willis's DA office, and now Fannie Willis now trying to put the same children in jail who were used by the government in the Atlanta DA office in this RICO charge.
Just say you cheated, it's almost like you had to throw someone else under the bus. And so at the end of the day, there were 35 of us that ended up being charged with racketeering. And like I said, the mainstream.
And the only way they got people is they got teachers to tell on other teachers. They got Gunna to say, yes, YSL is a game. I don't understand how that works. Gunna is a multi-million-dollar rapper. Right now, Gunna album is #1. Before Gunna got arrested, he was #1. How can the #1 musician who was #1 before and after his arrest have any knowledge on a criminal enterprise? Either he's a criminal or he's a rapper. You gonna tell me, you gonna tell me you got to prove it, Fannie Willis, because if not, what you did is you compromised Sergio Gunna Kitchen to lie against his friend to push a false, flimsy RICO forward because of the way Georgia writes its RICO statute. And she did it against Black female teachers. This is not the first time. I'm letting you know this so you know what's coming down the pipeline for Donald Trump. If anybody thinks some fairness is coming for Donald Trump, y'all don't know what this Black office did to Black people. So if you think they're going to have any quarter for Donald Trump, hold on, let me hear my laugh track. There will be no quarter for Donald Trump. With the way she treated Black children, Black men, and Black women to get ahead. With her soldier story style of prosecution. The way she's lied, the way she overcharges, overreaches. In the Donald Trump indictment, it's like over 100 counts. And there's lawyers that I researched today who said she did this before in the indictment against teachers. And basically what it is, it's repetitive. And the lawyer said, is that overreaching? And the lawyer said, yes, it's overreaching. And you know what the lawyer admitted? He said, I have a problem with Fannie Lewis. And he said, I have a problem with myself. He said, because all of us were upset at Fannie Willis at the way she used the RICO against teachers, but now we're happy with the way she's using it against Trump. And it's the same way. She was wrong in the way she overcharged and used RICO against the teachers, and she's wrong in YSL, and she's wrong with Trump. But nobody said anything. They were okay with throwing these 35 Black women away. Let's keep listening. This is how you get Fannie Willis. To everybody listening who not listening, to all the people hate watching, this is how we got Fannie Willis, because a lot of people are asking, non-Black people watching my show. So for all the non-Black men who are asking, who the fuck is Fannie Willis, and why the fuck, because they understand it's not a coincidence. Why is this happening in Georgia? Why is it the Georgia DA office? And who is this DA? That's what non-Black men are asking. This is why I'm presenting this, because there's a unique, small-minded perspective from Black America on these things. They're not able to see the broad aspect. But non-Blacks immediately understand how America works. Be like, why is this happening in Georgia the way it's happening? So I'm unpacking it for you.
The narrative was that we were trying to get a payout.
Wow. So I just want to make sure my audience gets this picture, and then we're going to take a break and come back and break all this down. Everybody in the age of No Child Left Behind had to take standardized tests, right? So this isn't just a Georgia thing. This is around the country. School districts had to perform on high stakes tests, some sort of state mandated exam in order to be able to compete against each other and to be able to decide whether a school was doing well, whether a school was making adequate yearly progress, et cetera. And so all the schools had to take this test. And because of the logic of No Child Left Behind, which was punitive in a sense, right? If you don't do well enough on a test, you could lose your job, schools could lose funding, students could be denied resources, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Schools were forced to compete in this market of testing. That's what's happening, right? Then they decide, when they looked at the test scores, that some teachers or principals or whoever worked in that building was cheating on the test, meaning that a student bubbles in A and then this teacher goes behind or administrator goes behind and bubbles in B instead of A to change that test score to make their grades higher. Now, the teachers are saying, some of them are saying, okay, maybe we did that. Whole bunch of teachers are saying we did not do that. Whole bunch of principals are saying we did not do this. I have to add, these are Black women. These are almost every single person being charged and indicted is a Black woman. Just put that on the table. And then finally, when they decide to charge these people, there's no statute for cheating on a test. They charge them with RICO.
Do y'all hear that? So it's a couple things I need to hear. When they say they, the they is the Atlanta DA, Black district attorney. His name was Paul, and Fannie Willis was the prosecuting DA on this, assistant DA, and she later became district attorney. Fannie Willis is the they. Fannie Willis is the they. So what he's saying, listen to this. When we think about Trump, I want all the people who love Trump to share my show. Because I know a lot of people love Trump, and they want to know what's going on with this case. He said, there is no crime, and this is what's going to come up again later with the Trump case. Because if this Trump case was not in Georgia, it would not be a crime federally. It's only a crime in the way the Georgia RICO statute is written. So what Lamont is saying here is that there is no crime. The teachers didn't break the law. The only way you get the teachers to go to jail is if you use the RICO. You got to use the RICO. Fannie Willis and the RICO party. This is back to what we're talking about today. Wait a minute, Perfect. The teachers didn't break the law. And it goes back to Tory Lanez and Fannie Willis getting off YSL Mondo for aggravated assault with a weapon, and Tory Lanez getting 10 years. There was no crime with Tory Lanez. There was no crime with these teachers. Y'all got to pay attention to these Black female district attorneys, the way they understand the law, and they're oh my God. Man, I keep hearing Angry Man in my head, man, as I talk about these Black women who are district attorneys and us not dealing with Black women and allowing Black women be district attorneys and not dealing with the issues of Black America. Remember that video that went viral of that Black woman arguing with a white judge about an 18-year-old Black boy that the judge wanted to give a second chance to, and this Black woman who could have been his mother was almost about to cry because she wanted him to go to jail, and the Black boy just was destroyed. The judge was about to cry. The judge couldn't understand her hate. And she was like, I don't care if he Black. I don't care. He don't get a second chance. He need to go to prison. If it was blah, 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 he'd be in prison and under the prison, and he needs so much time. And the judge almost was about to arrest her. Because it was obvious to the judge it wasn't about this Black boy. You're not respecting my courtroom. You're not respecting me. It's about your trauma. Right now, you are having an episode. You are breaking down in the courtroom as a district attorney, and your issues as being a Black woman, your insecurities against Black. This is a Black boy, and whether you see him as Black or white, he's a kid. He's an American child. I'm trying to treat him like an American child, like every other American child. And she was crying. She didn't want this white man to give him a second chance. Send him to jail, send him under the jail, so I can get promoted. Fuck him. I want to get my promotion. We ain't talked about these Black women as district attorneys. Everybody saw that, and we never unpacked what really happened. She wasn't arguing the law. She was having a breakdown. When you disrespect the courtroom, disrespect the judge, your boss, she was having a mental breakdown. Black women will see that who are lawyers and say, no, she's standing up for herself. There is decorum in a courtroom. It's not up to you. You are not the last, it's the judge. She didn't get to make that call. She should have been talking like that to the judge at all. This is what I mean by Black women in that role. The judge was flabbergasted because she completely lost her frame of mind. of where she was, what her job was. She thought she was advocating, but you can't advocate in that voice once you've disrespected the court and the judge. We're no longer in the legal process now. You're not listening to me. It's my courtroom. Once you go out and once you start doing the black woman thing, it's no longer court. And no one talked about this lack of capacity in black women in this role. And do we have to have a talk about black female police officers, black female district attorneys, in the same way we talk about white male police officers and white male district attorneys? And the stigma that certain white men have toward black men, do black women have a similar stigma, a similar axe to grind toward black men? And should we pay attention to that when employing them in certain roles and aspects? But you know what? It's too late now, because now she's going after the youth. It's too late. It's too late for us to look back and say, this office was rogue at the way they prosecuted blacks. If this DA was white, the NAACP would have came in. This office is rogue at the way they've been prosecuting blacks. And now they're going after Trump in the same rogue fashion. It doesn't matter whether you think Trump is guilty. It's how she's doing it and using the RICO, and how she's used it in the past, and how she hasn't had a crime and she creates a crime and goes after black female teachers. Y'all got to listen to what he just said. There was no crime, but she created a crime, just like, who else did this? Kamala Harris. And she president. So Fannie Willis wants to be president. She created a crime and went after these teachers. Kamala Harris created a crime in California and started prosecuting black women and black teachers. She did. No one is paying attention to me. And if I say this, people say you racist. People say you have something against black women, and we can't really have a real talk. But when they go after a white man, Trump said you dating Peanut. Now we're going to have a real talk. Now we're going to have a real talk about black women and the DAs and what they've been doing. Let's keep going.
Statute created for the mafia, a statute created for organized crime, for people who are stealing billions out of companies, for people who are leading.
So what I'm saying to you guys is, because the teachers, these black women, didn't break the law, she had to use a RICO in order to charge them with the crime. Say they were trying to make money by changing these grades, and that wasn't true. So when I talk to you about narratives and why I dispel narratives in messaging and music, how powerful the narrative is in social media, this is what I'm talking about. They were able to lodge a narrative, just like with Tory Lanez and Meg Thee Stallion. When Tory Lanez had a gag, Meg Thee Stallion went on Gayle King and put forth a narrative. They were able to put forth a narrative to help support their RICO case, to say that these black women did this. And black women is stealing. Black women like to steal and get over. Black women like to lie, cheat, and steal. The only problem is it was a black woman saying it. Black women like to lie, cheat, and steal and get over. So these black women don't know how to teach, don't know how to raise kids. So let's put them all in prison. And by the way, when you're not looking, we're going to use this case to change it from No Child Left Behind and laptops and Common Core and make a whole shitload of money for everybody but you.
Criminal violent organizations in states around the country. That's what they created this thing for. And now they're bringing teachers like Shani in and interrogating them and getting teachers to tell on each other whether they did it or not, to get out of trouble. This is happening in schools over tests. This is nuts to me. Shani and Anna, please stay with me, because I need y'all to break all this down. I ain't gonna do no more talking, but I just need my audience to understand how wild the backdrop is, and y'all gonna break it down for me. When we come back, we're gonna continue this important discussion with Shani and Anna as we try to uncover the broader cultural and policy forces that are at play when you have. Back with me are the co-authors of the book, None of the Above, The Untold Story of the Atlanta Public Schools Cheating Scandal, Corporate Greed and the Criminalization of Educators. Education advocate Shani Robinson and the appeal reporter Anna Simonton. Welcome back to the show. And break down this RICO thing to me. Again, organized crime. I've seen RICO statutes used against drug dealers. I've seen it used against mafia members. I never imagined it being used against a science teacher.
No, and a lot of legal experts agreed that this was prosecutorial overreach. It feels like the goal, more so than seeking justice in this case, was to have a sensational career-making trial.
Coffin nail. Let me get my gunshots out. That was a call. I'm gonna play it again too. I told you I'm gonna take my time. I'm gonna walk down and I'm gonna fuck them all. I'm gonna take my motherfucking time, man. I'm gonna take my motherfucking time, man, because it's a perfect timing podcast, man. Who else do this shit like this, man? Who else do this shit like this, man? I didn't say it, man. And I'm going to play it again, man, so people understand what's going on in America when we talk about these narratives. And everybody want to say the black man on YouTube is just making up shit and conspiracy theories and all this shit. We don't never get our motherfucking props. What did she say? What did she say? Let's listen to this again. This is so powerful when it comes to Tory Lanez, when it comes to YSL, when it comes to your American system of government. Black Lives Matter. I'm a trained Marxist, and what's happening to the Constitution under these black women DAs? Y'all got to pay attention, because everybody keeps saying, even a lawyer I saw today was saying, I don't care about YSL, Young Thug. But now you're talking about it. Why? Because the fucking American system is coming down under these women. And it was cool for them to do this shit to black men. And now y'all waking up and saying, what the fuck are they doing to the law? Do y'all know it was a black female DA in the Bill Cosby case who was fucking Andrea Constand? Did y'all know that? It was a black female district attorney who was fucking a defendant.
It feels like the goal, more so than seeking justice in this case, was to have a sensational career-making trial. So District Attorney Paul Howard was in office at the time that he brought these charges. Recently was voted out last year. Now Bonnie Willis is district attorney. And
coffin nail. Bonnie Willis. The point of this case was not justice, but it was to make a big case for political movement. But even deeper than that, they used this case to get Common Core and to get rid of standardized testing and No Child Left Behind. This was a huge case. This was global. This was global news. I remember it. The most expensive RICO ever in Georgia history.
And she was one of the prosecutors on this case as well. RICO was never an appropriate option. Testing or cheating on tests has been widespread throughout the U.S., as you said, in large part because of No Child Left Behind. It's putting teachers in very desperate situations. Test cheating is the result of bad education policy, and we've seen that across the country. In most other cases, teachers have lost their licenses or been disciplined in other ways. When it rises to the level of the criminal legal system being involved, it's typically been very low-level things like paying a fine or community service. This was the only case out of thousands that have been documented in which RICO charges have been used against educators.
That's so important to unpack. This is the only case ever is community service, because there is no crime. This black district attorney who wanted fame, was the type of person who would put 35 black women in jail, in the penitentiary, just to make a name for herself. It's never been done before, because you can't necessarily say that each one of them cheated on the test and how it affected the child. But she didn't give a fuck.
Wow. It's a stunning thing. Were you surprised when you were brought in, Shani, when you were brought in to be interviewed, and then you saw the bigger kind of impact that was happening on teachers around the state and throughout APS for sure, were you surprised at how grave, at how intense, at how deep the penalties were?
Absolutely. No one knew that we were about to be indicted. The news came out in the local media, so it was a total shock to everyone. I didn't really even know what RICO was at the time, but I had a $200,000 bond, and mine was one of the lowest. The rest were in the millions, and so it really made it seem like we were real racketeers who had gotten all of this money. And so basically what happened was when we had to turn ourselves in, no one could really afford the bond. And so we had to go into an agreement with the prosecution team that our bonds would be lowered as long as we didn't.
Don't that sound familiar? Don't that sound familiar to YSL? Overcharged, over bond. And then, which I understand is this is Wakanda. It's a black sheriff. It's a black judge. It's a black DA. These are black women that they probably know, and they are giving them an exorbitant bond. It's not white people doing this, y'all. This is black people creating a false narrative that these black women stole money, knowing that they didn't steal money, giving them $1 million bonds, knowing that they don't got the money to pay. This sound just like RICO, just sound like YSL. Young Thug still hasn't gotten bond. Everybody that went home on a 15-year bail. Sergio Gunna Kitchen's got a #1 record, #1 album, and Young Thug still on a 23-hour hold after 2 years, and we still asking, what did he actually do? What is the actual crime? The crime is RICO. I don't think we understood when Big Facts was talking about, when AO was talking about his RICO season. The crime is RICO. And that's the fucked up part about Thug. I think in the end, everybody gonna be like, Thug maybe should have pled because he didn't do nothing wrong. He didn't commit a crime. Tory Lanez didn't commit a crime. The crime is RICO, and this is a rogue DA office. This woman had not committed a crime as a first-grade teacher. Her scores couldn't even contribute. She going to jail. She just lost an appeal to the Georgia Supreme Court. The Georgia Supreme Court said her conviction in the year she got to stand. Somebody snitched on her and said she faked test scores when her test scores don't even count toward the bonus. So she wouldn't have even been criminal. It wouldn't even have been a criminal act if she did do it. It's not a criminal act because she can't gain nothing from it. You can get fired but not send me to prison. The only way you get to send me to prison is this black woman, Fannie Willis, does this overreaching RICO. It's so important that we understand what's happening.
Didn't talk to the media. So right from the start, everyone only heard one side of the story.
Wait a minute. So they gave y'all an exorbitant bond, right? And the point of bond is to make sure you return to trial. It's not a punishment. So the bond being high itself was a problem. But then they reduced the bond, and they're telling me 2 minutes. We're gonna have to stretch an extra couple minutes, y'all. I want to make sure we do this right. So they lowered the bond so that you could get out of jail, but they said you can't talk to the media at the same time that the media was advancing a narrative about y'all that wasn't true. So you couldn't even push back against the narrative that was not only shaping public opinion, but maybe the jury pool.
Tory Lanez. But I know he didn't feel like that about Meg Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez. That's the same thing I've been saying about Tory Lanez. Is that not the same tactic that the same black woman is using? The black woman in LA did the same shit to Tory Lanez.
Exactly. And I believe we were tried in the court of public opinion.
Tory Lanez was tried in the court of public opinion. You know how I could prove Tory Lanez was tried in the court of public opinion? Because everybody believed that Tory Lanez got convicted of shooting Meg Thee Stallion. And he wasn't. I'm the only one so far as a content creator to break down the charges and to break down the assault with the weapon and how it states. And what's most important is the jury instructions that Tory Lanez did not have to actually shoot Meg Thee Stallion with a gun and bullets hit her foot to be charged, to be found guilty. CNN put up a report saying Tory Lanez found guilty for shooting Meg Thee Stallion. I said CNN better take that shit down. CNN could get found liable and get sued. Tory Lanez did not get found guilty of shooting Meg Thee Stallion. That is a narrative. Tory Lanez was convicted in the court of public opinion because of the same black mental health issue I'm talking about, with the mental health issue of black women who hate black men. That's how Bill Cosby got convicted. That's how R. Kelly got convicted. That bothers me. That bothers me. We can't talk about this mental health aspect. Tory Lanez got convicted in the court of public opinion, and people believe that Tory Lanez was convicted of shooting Meg Thee Stallion. Tory Lanez got 10 years for a charge that could have and should have been charged as a misdemeanor. It's called assault. I forget. I don't want to say aggravated because it's not aggravated. It's assault with a weapon. And the way I broke it down on my podcast, if you go listen to the podcast, is for this particular charge, because they could have charged him with aggravated, they could have charged him with attempted murder, they could have charged him with, aggravated assault is that you were mean, malicious, maligning, trying to kill and hurt her, and you shot her. They didn't charge him with that. So when I read the charges, I'm like, well, what does this charge mean? Because I've been in some trouble before, and I've never got this charge because it's like a light charge, right? Typically, they say, no, aggravated assault with a weapon. What is this charge that Tory got? Where I broke down the charge, and the charge basically said that if you pull out a gun in an altercation, look, I pull out a gun, I get into an argument with somebody, and they run away, and they trip and fall and break their arm, or I'll pull out the gun, and you get hit with the gun and you hurt yourself, I can be charged with the charge that Tory Lanez got charged with. It doesn't say that I had to shoot the gun in the act of the assault and they have to be shot with a bullet in the act of the assault. All this charge says is that I was assaulted and you were holding the gun illegally and recklessly. That's what the other two subsequent charges were about. But the narrative in the public is Tory Lanez shot. So the narrative in the public is they cheated on these test scores for money when that was proven false in the court.
It was devastating. It was the longest criminal trial in Georgia history. I was pregnant with my first son the entire time. So it was very just emotionally draining. It was financially draining. We basically had to, empty our savings account because we were our only clients for our attorneys. The judge told our attorneys that we could be their only clients. And so I think everyone was really stressed out. But I had my son right after we were convicted. I was hoping that the judge would sentence me with, no jail time so that I could remain with my son, but he still sentenced us with prison time anyway. I just gave birth to another son last February. So this is a really nervous time for me. I was diagnosed with PTSD. It's been rough. It's been rough, to say the least.
I'm so sorry. I'm being painted as.
I just wanted to get that background. It's such an interesting story. I could go in all day on that, but I think I gave enough of what I wanted to show you about this district attorney office. There's a sad video about them getting sentenced. It was a white judge who ended up sentencing them, and he gave them 7 to 20 years in prison. So they're on appeal right now, trying to get that appeal, but he gave them like a lot of time, like a drug dealer. And it's funny, it was a black DA office, black sheriff, black cops, black everything. But when it came down to it, it was a white judge who was talking cash shit to these black women and gave them hella time. This is some background and context into Georgia's RICO Act.
Or RICO.
A racketeer is somebody who commits at least two different crimes that are related in trying to achieve the same goal.
Georgia's RICO law is written more broadly than the federal version, meaning there's a large number of crimes that can qualify for a racketeering charge.
The ones that we think will appear in the indictment, it's a crime to make a false statement to a state official. It's a crime to create false documents and submit them to various state agencies. Perjury can be a crime. Terroristic threats. And we know that the district attorney is looking at threats against election workers.
The former president is already facing 2 federal indictments and a case in New York. But if he's indicted in Fulton County, it could be the most problematic one he faces.
If he's reelected, he has no power over what's going on in Georgia. He can't tell the district attorney what to do. She is an elected official. She's not answerable to anybody in state government. The possibility of him being convicted and going to jail is far greater, I would say.
If the former president is indicted in Fulton County, we can expect to see an arraignment happen in the following day or two. Stephanie Lee.
The sheriff out there already said that when Trump is indicted, they're going to arrest him. So this is a whole big, there's a lot to say about this when it comes to like what it means for America. Let me go to another video I got on my Trump shit. So y'all heard about, I told y'all about Peanut, right? I told y'all about Peanut, how that broke down, how Trump would have that information, right? And the conflict of interest of YSL Mondo. So the background of Fannie Willis is that she was prosecuting teachers in the overreaching RICO. RICO is her calling card. Overcharging and creating crimes out of thin air, right? And then she was no longer part of the Atlanta DA office. She had her own private practice, and she represented the co-founder of YSL. And she successfully got him off on the same charge that Tory Lanez got 10 years. Then she goes back to being a DA in the same DA office where she did this overreaching RICO where the liberals were not happy with her. But they bring her back because they want her to do the same overreaching RICO on YSL because they feel like these young men have gotten out of control. Now, think about it, the fact that I said these are the same people that you created. Now, she's going after Trump in the indictment. Now, people have said the YSL Mondo is a conflict of interest. At the very least, it looks horrible, right? What they did to Gunner, everything, the way this case has been prosecuted, the way they lied, they can't even bring in the card, the conspiracy anymore because of the way they handled the case. So I'm going to give you one more piece to this Atlanta DA office. If I haven't shown you enough about how they use the RICO, how they lie, create charges out of thin air, one more optical illusion by the Atlanta DA.
The title of your office and having on social media that you as this political office holder are holding a fundraiser for the opponent of someone that this political office is investigating. I don't know that it's an actual conflict, but I use that phrase, what were you thinking? Where the prosecutor thought I could prosecute the co-defendant of someone I defended. It's a what are you thinking moment.
Well, the prosecutor thought I could prosecute the co-defendant of someone I represented. It's a what are you thinking moment. What are you thinking? And you're going to go prosecute Donald Trump, but you on your website or your Facebook, you got a post where you raising money for the person running against Donald Trump. So you are directly connected to the person that Donald Trump is running against. So how can you not be seen as being used as an opponent? This is the thing where we talk about people be snitching on their motherfucking self. This is a judge talking to District Attorney Fani Willis about her improprieties on multiple RICO cases, ladies and gentlemen, for perfect timing. Woo! You cannot make this up, man. Best podcast in the motherfucking land. Best podcast starting from the top, ladies and gentlemen. Judge on Fani Willis' appearance of conflict in Trump probe due to fundraiser. The optics are horrific.
The title of your office and having on social media that you as this political office holder are holding a fundraiser for the opponent of someone that this political office is investigating. I don't know that it's an actual conflict, but I use that phrase, what were you thinking? Where the prosecutor thought I could prosecute the co-defendant of someone I defended. It's a what are you thinking moment. The optics are horrific. If you are trying to have the public believe that this is a nonpartisan, driven by the facts, and I'm not here to critique decisions, the decision was made, but if we are trying to maintain confidence that this investigation is pursuing facts in a nonpartisan sense, no matter who the district attorney is, we follow the evidence where it goes and ignore the fact that I hosted a fundraiser for the political opponent of someone I've just named a target. That strikes me as problematic. Maybe not from an actual conflict level, but if we are at a cocktail party and people are asking, do you think that this is a fair and balanced approach to things? I do. Well, how do you explain this? How does one explain? I mean, that's the concern I'm working through, is that it's not a lowercase a appearance. It's like a capital A with flashy lights fundraiser district attorney for the political opponent of someone I've named the target of my investigation, where I'm the legal advisor to the grand jury, and I'm on national media almost nightly talking about this investigation. That's problematic.
Okay.
Wow, you guys. Shit, that's problematic. Now, wait a minute, you guys. What date was this? Because she went ahead. Let's see the date on it. This is a year ago, you guys. This is a year ago. They doing YSL. So how long? This is how long this probe been going on into Donald Trump setting up this RICO. They hadn't finished up with the Atlanta public schools. They still lying on Young Thug. And a year ago, here it is. She done snitched on herself. She done took a picture of herself, put on her Facebook. He said it's not a small A, it's a capital A. It's a big, fat, capital A, blinking light, big dummy, Fani Willis. He said that is problematic. He said, you put up a big-ass sign saying that you're linked to this person and then you're going to target his opponent. That is problematic. That's what I'm presenting to you today. A hell of a podcast broadcast for your ass, Perfect Timing Podcast. That's what my presentation is today. I said the bulk of my presentation is going to be about this Atlanta RICO, building a case for you guys about the systematic way Fani Willis has overreached and overcharged RICO since 2009 against 35 black women. There were no crime. She used RICO to put 35 black women in prison. Against YSL, there was no crime. She used RICO to charge 30 black fathers and then put all of them under unheard of 15-year probation. Now with the Trump indictment over a year ago, a judge brings her in the court and tells her about her improprieties and her conflicts of interest, not only in the Trump case, but in the YSL case where you represented the co-founder and defended him And now you are prosecuting the same company in which you defended him. He said that is an aha moment where I have to ask myself, what the fuck were you thinking, Fannie? If we at a dinner party and we asked, was it fair what you did to young Gunner? No, it wasn't fair and prudent. And what are you doing? This is why she wasn't DA. This is her style. This is what my whole broadcast is about today. It's about the style of prosecution of Fannie Willis and the Atlanta DA office and why and how they've been manipulated time and time again for the political gain of the Democratic goddamn party. Perfect timing podcast. Because Common Core was a Democratic program and No Child Left Behind was a Republican program. Common Core was about Obama. We got Biden now. But if you, oh man, there's so much to unpack about this case with Common Core. It's so much to unpack about this case, about Common Core, how it's linked to Obama and the Democrats. And about No Child Left Behind. They don't tell you about and the story I present to you, what you don't know about No Child Left Behind, how it's linked to Bush and the Republicans. And the partisan games in politics that's going on that a lot of people tell you not to pay attention to. Now let's listen to this judge and what Fannie Willis' response is.
What is the real story of January 6th? Many people have asked that question. Some people have described it
is that it's not a lowercase a appearance. It's like a capital A with flashy lights. Fundraiser, district attorney for the political opponent of someone I've named the target of my investigation, where I'm the legal advisor to the grand jury, and I'm on national media almost nightly talking about this investigation. That's problematic.
Okay.
That's problematic. Well, I'm on TV nightly talking about this. That's problematic. That's problematic. But that's just one. That's not, that ain't every, that's just one thing that I presented today. That's just one thing that I presented today. That she has a conflict of interest, that it's like taking a picture of a gun. It's like John Morant. Fannie Willis is the John Morant of this shit. I'm not making it up. She did it to herself. Fannie Willis is the John Morant of this shit. I mean, over and over again, doing the same cap-ass, cash-ass shit. She took a picture on her Facebook, and he said, not a small A, but a big A, blinking light, fundraising for the opponent and then target. And then he brings up the fact where you thought it was okay to represent the co-founder and then go after the organization. Did y'all catch that part? Because that was like a real quick innuendo. I'm going to go back to that part right there. Because that's a YSL quip. That's a YSL quip. Y'all got to pay attention because everybody say don't pay. Even in the lawyers that I saw today, they was like, don't pay attention to YSL.
All the evidence where it goes and to have the public believe that this is a nonpartisan, driven by the facts. And I'm not here to critique decisions. The decision was made, but if we are trying to maintain confidence that this investigation is pursuing.
Maintain confidence. Let me go back. I want to hear this shit. Let's listen to it.
On social media that you as this political office holder are holding a fundraiser for the opponent of someone that this political office is investigating. I don't know that it's an actual conflict, but I use that phrase, what were you thinking? Where the prosecutor thought I could prosecute the co-defendant of someone I defended.
Well, the prosecutor thought I could prosecute the co-defendant of somebody I defended. That is a quip. That is a dig, you guys. That's not talking about Trump. It's so funny that that comes out a year later, that now Joy Reid and Donald Trump is now bringing up this same thing. Everybody thought Donald Trump got his information from academics. Donald Trump did not get his information from fucking academics. This is where Donald Trump got his fucking information from, right here. Right here, where you believed it was okay to represent the co-defendant of a case. What are you talking about? He's not talking about Trump. The Trump, and this is a year old. This court date is a year old, so the Trump indictment is a week old. Let's play this part again. Y'all got to hear this. This is him using her same conflict, her same mistakes that she made in the YSL RICO. He is lodging to her in open court as a judge. She did the same thing again in another RICO. That's what I'm saying today.
Defendant of someone I defended, where the prosecutor thought I could prosecute the co-defendant of someone I defended.
Where the prosecutor thought I could defend the co-defendant of somebody I defended. And look how he looked. This is, you can't make this up. This story been writing itself. This has been a great story. I showed YSL Mondo, and it was even kind of hard for me to do the YSL Mondo story because I know a lot of respectful people, intelligent people listen to me, and it's going to be hard for them to follow somebody named YSL Mondo. And why is it important? Perfect, because I know you intelligent. I know you do a good job, but Perfect, you're going to have to explain to me why I should listen to you about a young man named YSL Mondo. So everybody who stuck with me, I want to say thank you, because the reason why I needed to educate you about YSL Mondo and about Fannie Lewis, representing YSL Mondo, who is the co-founder of YSL, the current RICO, is because of this right here. It's because of her conflict of interest and improprieties, her optics. So now you understand, because you've been here with me the whole time and you've heard the foundation of what she did with YSL Mondo. When this judge says it was poor decision-making for you to believe that you could represent the co-defendant of then someone you're going to prosecute later. And then you did the same thing in this Trump RICO. He said, if we want the public to believe that we are honest and we're out for the best interest, woo, let's listen to this shit. This is my whole case. This is my whole day. This is my whole 2-hour podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Someone I defended. It's a what are you thinking moment where the prosecutor thought I could prosecute the co-defendant of someone I defended. I don't know that it's an actual conflict, but I use that phrase, what were you thinking, where the prosecutor thought I could prosecute the co-defendant of someone I defended. It's a what are you thinking moment.
It's a what do you think? He said it 3 times. It's a what are you thinking moment. Where the prosecutor thought she could prosecute the defendant of someone I defended. Whoa, you can't make this up. I've said it, but I know people, sometimes they got to hear it from a white man. You got to hear from a white man as a judge, because it's one thing to hear from Perfect, because there's a lot of people, Angry Man, I know you be listening to me. It's a lot of people who listen to my podcast, and it's one thing for me to lodge this and say, okay, Perfect, it's you saying this about Fannie Willis. But it's another thing for me to present for you information from a judge saying these things to you. It's a coffin nail. You got to give me my props. You got to give me my props on both of the cases and why I've been teaching my audience about the YSL case. And now you see the Trump indictment coming down. It's a coffin nail. Give Perfect timing his props. Hit my motherfucking cash out. It ain't no motherfucking joke. Give Perfect his props. Hit my motherfucking.
Thought I could prosecute the co-defendant of someone I defended. It's a what are you thinking moment. The optics are horrific. If you are trying to have the public believe that this is a nonpartisan, driven by the facts, and I'm not here to critique decisions. The decision was made, but if we are trying to maintain confidence that this investigation is pursuing facts in a nonpartisan sense, no matter who the district attorney is, we follow the evidence where it goes and ignore the fact that I hosted a fundraiser for the political opponent of someone I've just named a target. That strikes me as problematic, maybe not from an actual conflict level, but if we are at a cocktail party and people are asking, do you think that this is a fair and balanced approach to things? I do. Well, how do you explain?
Now, for everybody listening, and I thank you for hanging out. Let me tell you something important. In Florida, Governor DeSantis removed the black female district attorney. In Atlanta, there's a brand new law that there's a review board where a district attorney can be reviewed. In my last podcast, I told you about Senator Colton Brown, who wants Fannie Lewis to come up for a special assembly in Congress. People are reporting today that that's probably not going to happen. But you know what they told on themselves about? That there's a brand new law in Atlanta, Georgia, you guys. I wonder why that law exists. Maybe because of that 35 teachers. There's a brand new law in Atlanta, Georgia, similar to the law in Florida that allowed Ron DeSantis to remove that black female district attorney. Well, there's a new law in Georgia that says there's a Georgia DA review board for district attorneys with overreaching. Now, this is a Georgia judge saying that she's overreaching both of these cases. So when you hear Democrat liberals telling you that Fannie Lewis, that there's no basis for her coming up on charges per the senator, per the governor, per this brand new law and commission, they haven't watched the Perfect Timing podcast. They haven't watched the Perfect Timing podcast because they don't know. They don't know the whole story. There will be a lot of Democratic shills who tell you and will promote that there is no way that the senator, which is a senator, ain't not in the Congress, a senator cannot get the special session. That the Democrats is not going to agree with getting rid of Fannie Lewis. But see, when they did the story to shit on the senator, what they did say is that there's a brand new law in Georgia. Same law that got rid of the black woman in Florida. They got that law in Georgia. Y'all pay attention to what's writing on the wall. Y'all pay attention to the writing on the wall as everybody tell you that they know for certain what's going to happen. They know for certain what's going to happen. You got to be questionable about them people that know for certain what's going to happen. I wondered how Donald Trump got that information. Why did Donald Trump and how did Donald Trump know about her improprieties in the YSL case? It's because it came up in open court.
This, how does one explain? I mean, that's the concern I'm working through, is that it's not a lowercase a appearance. It's like a capital A with flashy lights, fundraiser, district attorney for the political opponent of someone I've named the target of my investigation, where I'm the legal advisor to the grand jury, and I'm on national media almost nightly talking about this investigation. That's problematic.
Okay.
That's problematic, man. Man, thank y'all for tuning in, man. Let's do this last topic, man. Let's show some scenes from California Hurricane Hilary, man. I know people like to see the footage, man. Let's see some Hurricane Hilary footage. Do I got some Hurricane Hilary footage for the people? Oh, I got another story I could what's Hurricane Hilary? Where's my Hurricane Hilary? Here we go. I got some Hurricane Hilary footage for y'all. So hurricane hit Southern California for the first time. These are climate events that's never happened before in Hawaii, now in California. You had the wildfires in New York. I talked about that the other day where the New Yorkers was complaining, but I remember them teasing us when we couldn't have air quality, and the fire department was passing out man, I was happy to be in my little neighborhood, though. I remember because New York, y'all didn't get treated like that. But in California, when we had our wildfires, the fire department was passing out masks. So we related to you guys not having air quality concerns because we've been through that. So now what you have is a hurricane, and you have a lot of climate events in places where you've never had them before. Maui, Southern California, New York, and they consistently happen. And no one knows how to explain them. But and right now I'm in Northern California. We're dealing with heavy winds and rain. So what's up, Mr. Me Too? Salute. let's take a look at some footage from the California tropical storm Hurricane Hilary.
First to move across the region since 1997, bringing mudslides and dangerous flash flooding.
And Lindsay, the images are quite staggering. Take a look at this. With heavy rainfall in San Diego saturating the ground, trees like this have been uprooted and have collapsed.
One of just several weather emergencies across the country. Our team is tracking it all. We begin with Rob Marciano in Palm Desert, California. Good morning, Rob.
Hey, good morning, George. Yeah, quite a scene here yesterday as Tropical Storm Hilary cut its way across Southern California right into the deserts here. We had a lot of rain with that, record-breaking in Palm Springs and Palmdale in San Diego. We also have big-time winds. Here we had about a 4-hour stretch of 40-plus mile-an-hour winds. That was certainly enough to take down this really big eucalyptus tree, which was no match for this historic storm.
Overnight, millions of Americans under alert as Hilary slams the West. With up to 84-mile-per-hour wind gusts, Hilary officially the first tropical storm to hit Southern California in more than 25 years, bringing with it catastrophic rainfall, historic flooding, and dangerous mudslides. Palm Springs receiving more than half of its annual rainfall from this tropical storm alone.
The center of Hilary now coming through the center of Palm Springs, a tropical storm going through the middle of a California desert.
His car is floating.
Across the region, cars submerged. Watch this golf course inundated.
That's a river. It's not a golf course.
Emergency crews launching rescue missions. And in San Bernardino County, dramatic video of a massive mud flow.
You have 500 to 700 people, approximately residents that are having to shelter in the place.
700 people. These numbers are not small numbers. 1,000 people in Maui. Everybody pray for these people, man. And shout out to the preppers, man. I got some prep stuff. I got some prep food. I got some power supplies. Y'all need to be prepared just for your family, man, because things that they say are not supposed to happen where you live are happening where you live. And things that you're not supposed to have to be prepared for, you need to be prepared for. So let's say a prayer for these folks, man.
Firefighters trapped at their fire station after a mudslide surrounded the building. No injuries were reported, but the mudslides appear to be cutting off some mountain communities in the region. And in Los Angeles, the Sheriff's Department helicopter sounding the alarm, warning people to move to higher ground ahead of the storm. And in the middle of the storm, a magnitude 5.1 earthquake striking the LA area.
Chief, I'm really sorry to interrupt you right now. Our studio is shaking right now, so not only are we dealing with a tropical storm, but it appears we're now dealing with an earthquake.
The Los Angeles Unified School District, the second largest in the country, closing today.
Yeah, and an earthquake. Can you believe that? One not related to the other. Just gives you an idea how crazy yesterday was. There is a link to climate change as far as the extreme rainfall that we get in these sort of events. We can expect that to increase going forward. The rainfall, yeah, we did get that. Let's take a look at some of these numbers. Over 10 inches of rain falling across parts of San Bernardino County. LA County getting a half a foot. We mentioned Palm Springs and San Diego. The bulk of the moisture now is moving up into the Sierras. This is no longer a tropical anything, really. It's just a mass of moisture. We still have flash flood warnings into parts of the Sierras and watches all the way up into the Northwest. Not quite up into the fire area of Washington, unfortunately for those folks who are struggling there.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage.
So that's Hurricane Hilary, Tropical Storm Hilary. If y'all from the Bay, rest in peace, Cool Nut, man. Cool Nut, C Fresh. They had a song called Hilary, talking about artillery, so we would call our artillery Hilary. We used to like that song, man. Shout out to Cool Nut, rest in peace, man. IMP, man. UNLV, man. Selsky. I seen Selsky on No Vulture interview. That was tight. Y'all go fuck with that No Vulture, that Selsky. That was a good interview. He talked about all the shit, San Francisco hip hop, really influential in the independent Bay. When you come to this hip hop stuff, I see Tariq Nasheed doing his his he doing a movie on the birth of hip hop. He going in on the first people. He got the funds to do the research. He got some of the people to contradict the 8/11 story of the party. I told you guys that was all a narrative, just like the narratives we talked about today. Like we've been around hip hop. This was so funny about history being created right in front of you, narratives being created right as they rewrite history and say blacks benefited from slavery. It's the same thing with the 50th anniversary of hip hop. Some people being honest about it, but we've been alive the whole time hip hop's been here. I've been involved in hip hop my whole life. Nobody said that hip hop was created on August 11th, 1973 or whatever it was to make hip hop be 50 years old. That was today. That was this year. That narrative was created with a bunch of concerts and a lot of movie and a lot of effort, a lot of money and a lot of effort to put behind that narrative to where it would appear on NBC, ABC, CBS, all popular media and social media celebrated hip hop anniversary 50 years old, dating back to this specific date. This specific date was created for historical purposes. This is important that we understand this at every context that we talked about today. This date was created for historical purposes. When we talk about the way these cases have been fought, who's fighting them, the location, it's all for a narrative and for historical purposes. It speaks to drive home the history and narrative that hip hop is multicultural and thusly separated from the events of chattel slavery in the American Negro FBA ADOS. You know what I mean? Because by separating hip hop from that, you can move forward in this new Americana existence that is existing without the American Negro FBA ADOS. Right? Without reparations, because everybody thinks reparations is about money. Reparations is not about money. It's about these historical events and literary changes that are happening now. Reparations is about the color of money, the color line. It's about, I told you about laws that exist right now on the books in California that are just now being removed. That said, legally, you cannot buy property in this area. Just now in 2023, these laws are being removed. Reparations is the removal of all those laws. Reparations would mean I no longer have to check the black box. Y'all don't understand what I mean. I said this from the beginning. When we talk about what you want for reparations, we eliminate the boxes. All of this shit. All of the count the jelly bean shit that keep me and my son from getting to where we supposed to be in life. Eliminate all the fucking boxes. This is what affirmative action is about. This is what the college admissions is about, because they want an unfair advantage. Well, you have to fill out this application, perfect application. But my son get in because he's a legacy. This is what hot sauce always be talking about, the power of the class money. What do you mean? They don't got to apply? No. My son, like Dame Dad said, my son never has to fill out an application. It's the separation of classes. But for those people who have to fill out an application and who don't get why I want an application, the only reason you got to fill out an application is so I could disqualify you. Think about the aspect from game and from the way men talk about it with women or women talk about it with men. If a woman is talking about having multiple men and a man applying for her affection, the only reason y'all men have to apply for this beautiful woman is so that she can disqualify you. But there are men, just like at Harvard, who are legacy, who do not have to apply for her affection. Do y'all understand this, the whole thing we be teaching you? There are men who do not have to apply. The only reason you have to apply because she wants to disqualify you. So no more application, no more checkbox that says, I committed a crime, I'm black, have you received welfare? Why are you asking me that on an employment application? Has anyone in your home received welfare? Why? So I could disqualify you. The application is not so I could give you the job. The application is so I could disqualify all the people that I don't want. Yes, and I'm going to factor in everything on the application. Your race, your demographics, your social, economic factors. That's when they ask you about your welfare. Anybody on your home on welfare? And I know a lot of people don't even pay attention to the questions. They just answer them willy-nilly. I don't know. My auntie got this and my uncle, so I'm going to hit this, I'm going to hit this, I'm going to hit this. This is why they all look the same at Walmart. That's why all the Walmart employees look the same, because of the application process disqualifies everyone that they don't want working there. And they pick the people that will create a tax incentive. You have a bad experience at Walmart, but they don't care because they've used this application to disqualify Black men from employment at every turn of events, from your mortgage, going back to the redlining. Your mortgage, you have to apply. Your bank account, you have to apply. And people will say, well, perfect, if you don't apply, how do I know who you are, whatever? Just sign up. You know, right now you got free music. You got a lot of free shit. Just sign up. Why do I need to apply? So many people have learned that the application process is to deny. So all you got to do is just sign up, and you could buy my product or you can come into my store. But I need you to sign up so I know who you are. I get that, but we're not going to put you through an application process. Now, you can add your demographics to help us fine-tune your experience, but all you got to do is sign up. Everybody is welcome. As an American, all I should have to do is sign up for a particular job. I have this skill set. I'm going to sign up. You pick the people that you want to hire based on my skill set and based on my aptitude. But I shouldn't have to apply for the job as an American. All I got to do is sign up. I went to school. I got the knowledge. I even got some experience. So I'm going to sign up for the job. Damn, perfect. That's a great idea. Yeah, I'm going to sign up. This is my name, perfect timing. This is what I've done. I just signed up. Now, this sign up is going in your database, just like if I was coming into Walgreens and I was signing up for a gift card. So I swipe my gift card to get a discount. Well, I just signed up to get the job. And it went into your database, and you got a bunch of people that signed up for these different positions. I'm not going to feel bad if I'm not chosen, right? Because I know it's not an application process. The people going to pick who's the best person who signed up. I got a business too. I'm going to use the same sign-up process. Everybody come work for me. I want you to come make zuzus and wham-whams. Just sign up and let me know if you want to work for me, if you got experience. And based on everybody who signed up, I'm going to look through. I'm going to have a computer AI algorithm pick me the best person who had the most experience on zuzus and wham-whams. It has nothing to do with application process or discrimination or anything like that. So that's just one aspect of reparations, because without that, you have a different understanding of what Blackness is. So you could have hip hop being multicultural, because then we've separated from this Negro experience. It doesn't have to be in history. We don't have to be honest about what it is. The Atlantic slave trade, Middle Passage, whatever the fuck it was, right? Think about the Native Americans, the Indians, or whatever, the people on the reservations. That history is not in the American books. Like, while as we fight over CRT, where's the conversation about the Navajo, the Comanche? Where's that at? Do y'all remember learning about that? As we fight over CRT and what need to be in American history books about slavery, what's in American history books about the people who actually lived in California, who actually lived in Texas? Because I talked about this with my brother the other night, about the Alamo, about California, about the Queen Khalifa of California, same thing like the Queen of Hawaii. As we talk about Hawaii, California makes the greens, the lettuce for the entire globe. California was its own kingdom. When y'all went into the Southern Fort and I looked at the the map of California, the woman pulled me to the side because she saw my hair, she saw my eyes as I'm looking at everything. This always happened to me. Women, elders always do this to me. She did not know me. She pulled me to the side and she said, "How you doing today, brother?" I said, "I'm doing good. This is a beautiful place." She said, "I'm glad you came." And she started telling me about the the woven bowls. She said, we got the biggest collection in the globe of these, and they're priceless. Pay attention to these. I want you to pay attention to these. This canoe over here is priceless. It was a canoe in there, and then she showed me this map of California, and she said before the white man came here, there were over 1,000 different tribes. And I looked at the map, and I'm like, what do you mean? She said it was over 1,000 different countries and 1,000 different tribes and dialects. I said they spoke different languages, and she started educating me. And I almost was about to cry because I didn't know about this stuff. And she just picked me out the crowd, and she knew she wanted me to educate me on this stuff. I'm in this Indian museum in Northern California, and she just telling me about the pottery, about the woven bowls, and about how California was broken up into these different dialects. She said, if you can picture what it was like in California, she said, you got to picture what it was like in the entire country. The other day, Joe Rogan was doing a podcast, and remember I talked to you about coming west, right? And Joe Rogan talked about the Comanche people. And he said, there was a reason why the white man couldn't get past the Mississippi River. And it was the Comanche. And they would set up white people and give them homesteads, and they would slaughter them and murder them. But the white man couldn't get to California because of the Comanche. Is that being taught in the history books? Any of that being taught? And Texas, how we acquired Texas, is that unless you in Texas and you learn about the Alamo and you go to the Alamo, how many people outside of Texas learn about the acquisition? If you're not in Hawaii and Hawaii didn't catch on fire, you would not have learned about the acquisition of Hawaii and the Dole family. Because up until my research, I thought Hawaii, the queen just gave it up. I thought the queen gave up. I didn't know the Dole family came over as missions, but it's the same MO in California with San Bernardino, San Jose, with the missions, right? They came over with the missions, and the Dole family illegally took the crown from the queen. And the queen thought that America would give the crown back, but when America told the Dole family to give the crown back, they refused, created their own country, made Papa Dole the king of Hawaii after illegally taking it. This ain't taught in American history as we talk about CRT. It's not. It's not in the book. And then after this white man says, fuck America, I'm going to keep Hawaii, I'm going to keep this land, and I'm going to be king, somehow, a couple of months later, Hawaii becomes a motherfucking state. And guess who's the first governor? The Dole family, who said, turn their nose to America, gave America the finger, said, I'm going to create my own country, is now the first governor of the state of Hawaii. But check this out. Hawaii did not become a state until after Pearl Harbor. Hawaii was a territory and did not be and did not become a state until after Pearl Harbor. Who was running shit in Hawaii all that time? And this is in the 1950s. So in this timeline, Hawaii really had a white king. Think about what I'm saying. Up until that time, it wasn't a state with a governor. What was going on? If the Dole family had took it over, created their own country, and then America brought it back, but it wasn't actually a state until what was going on in this territory? Just something to unpack. I want to share something with you guys real quick, and I know you guys are going to enjoy this. Salute to my brother KP from KC5 in the building. Highly intelligent brother, high aptitude. He always come in and he gives us great, information to help expand on the conversation. So it's like really an intelligent person who can comprehend the information to the point where they could present information that allows the conversation to be progressive and expand, and allow the person leading the conversation to go in areas to be more beneficial to the listener. That's an intelligent person. High level of comprehension. High level of comprehension that you're able to do that. High level of aptitude and comprehension. Because that's what KP from KC5 is famous for. From listening, comprehending the content, and then being able to methodically, analytically put together in his own analysis, this will benefit the presenter and allow the listener to better understand the topic and the subject matter. So thank you to my brother, because he's done that for me multiple times. And he's done that for multiple content creators multiple times. So flowers to my brother KP from KC5. Flowers. People don't be getting their flowers for their enormous talents and things that they do. So we got to give people their flowers when flowers is due. And I know y'all like this story right here. This is I haven't read it. I haven't read it yet. I haven't read it yet because I've been busy with my other research, but I said if I have the time and the interest is there, I'll present it to everybody and my audience, and we can react to it together, because this is very interesting. And I actually have experience with this in my own life, and in San Francisco, there was a we're not gonna talk about who the district attorney was, but there was a crime lab where the head of the crime lab was a crackhead, and for 20 years she stole crack and lied on criminal cases about crack cocaine. You never heard about that story again and what happened to those people. I'm not saying I'm one of those people. I'm just saying that in San Francisco, there was a crime lab, and you might not remember it unless you're from San Francisco, or unless you follow the current vice president and you follow the presidential campaign and you follow little stories like this, and you might not know about the crime lab over 20 years in the place where Snowfall, the place where crack was created, that, hey, the crime lab person was addicted to cocaine and it made illegal, forged all type of stuff for 20 years relating to cocaine. But hey, that's just, I don't know if you know about that. But let's go focus on this story, because I think you guys will like this. District Attorney drops more than 30 cases involving former officers charged in Tyre Nichols' death. Do you guys remember this? This brother from Sacramento. So I'm telling you about crime lab who was addicted to cocaine, used cocaine and lied for 20 years. Now, these are guys who were in a gang. Now, remember, I presented you a Mississippi Goon Squad. That was a white gang who went around and beat up black people to keep a certain area town white, a white enclave outside of Jackson, Mississippi, white. Now, here we are, a black police gang. Just in case people thought we not equal opportunity broadcast. This is an equal opportunity broadcast. Let me take down that banner. Because we ain't on Hurricane Hilary no more. Okay. So this is a black police gang, and if you guys live in any majority black city, you already know that there are police gangs. They got Mexican police gang, black police gang. It's not nothing new. I think they had something in the FBI where they were doing an investigation about this stuff to help stop the proliferation of these type of things, right? So Tyre Nichols was beat to death on camera by these gentlemen. He's from Sacramento. And now they say that 30 cases have been dropped. A district attorney in Tennessee dismissed more than 30 cases involving 5 former police officers who were charged with second-degree murder in the death of Tyre Nichols. According to the statement obtained by the news on Wednesday, Shelby County District Attorney Stephen Melroy said his office reviewed approximately 100 cases involving their officers. In addition to the 30 dismissals, charges were reduced in about a dozen other cases. So that's about 50 cases altogether, you guys, affected by this. The district attorney's statement said, as in any such case, the primary consideration and concern about this credibility as a witness of discharged officers, the statement said. So where the officers were witnesses is where they focused most, primarily because they probably have been known to lie on cases. That's pretty deep, you guys. So in cases where the officers were the witness, so if you've ever been in trouble before and the officer get on the stand and lie and say he had a gun when we shot him, things like that, that's pretty deep, you guys. That's pretty deep. So in cases where they were the primary, let's keep going. Body camera videos and surveillance footage from Nichols' arrest were released on January 27th, publicly revealing the severity of the beating and sparked widespread condemnation from residents and police officials, and the county prosecutor said at the time, contradicting what officers said happened in the initial police report. The district attorney charged 5 Memphis police officers with second-degree murder in the fatal beating of Nichols. Wasn't there a white boy charged? Hey, y'all remember? Wasn't there a white boy charged? I know y'all know the homework. Let's see what else. Currently, all 5 officers accused will be tried together. The attorney for the defendant, Emmett Martin, says that 3 of the accused officers are seeking to separate their cases, but said his client isn't among them. They want to separate so they can snitch. Ain't there something? Now the police officers is using the same MO that the criminals use. Same thing with the YSL case. Everybody's supposed to go to trial together. 31 indictment. Everybody broke off their case, separate lawyers. It's a damn circus in the YSL case. And now she didn't charge 19 people again. It's going to be the same circus. If everybody get their separate lawyer, do separate cases, people going to start snitching and doing everything. They're going to give them plea bargains. It's going to be a fucking mess all over again. A fucking mess all over again. After motions are settled, the judge said that he will move ahead with scheduling a trial date. The city of Memphis and the police department and the fire officers also face a lawsuit filed by Nicholas' family in February. Murray said that the Attorney General office will be reviewing all prior cases involving the 5 officers. The news has reached out to Shelby County District Attorney office but has not received anything back. So this just a quick little update to you guys. It's a very sad story. I do believe there's a white guy involved, maybe 1 or 2 white officers. Rest in peace to this brother and prayers to the family. Rest in peace to this brother and prayers to the family. So update on this story. I'll be doing my research. So little things like this, because we do these stories, and I know it's important to the listener who be very busy. My job is this, y'all job. Y'all got a lot of different jobs. People are very busy, and I thank you for taking the time to watch. So for those busy people who may not have the time to catch up on every little thing and this little stuff that be important to us, this is a little update. 30 cases involving these officers are thrown out, and then 12, a dozen other. So I'm gonna just round it up to 50. You know what I'm saying? And we haven't even started the trial yet. Unfortunate, man. It's very sad, man. As we break down and we go into Atlanta and we talk about the mental health of these people, as district attorneys, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot to unpack. What KP said, the Dole Plantation in Hawaii is a tourist attraction for Dole pineapples, bro. At perfect, check your cash out too. Hey. Thank you for the cash app, bro. So yeah, and the presentation that I showed, it showed that one of the possible causes for the fire. Thank you for the cash app, bro. Shout out to KP for KC5 for that cash app. You the sponsor of today's show, man. So one of the things I showed when there was an honest breakdown and not a biased breakdown of what happened in Maui, two things are really huge factors. Now, we could talk about this in California too. And I educated my wife on this, and we did research. I love my wife, man. Shout out to my wife. Man, marriage, don't let them shit on marriage, man. I love my wife, man. I really do. But he said the Dole family about 10 years ago left and took everything out. You know, some places they don't allow you to do that because they know what it will do to the infrastructure. It will cause things like this. So the Dole, they took out all the pineapple plantations about 10 years ago. And then adjacent, another white family who were running the island, they had sugar plantations. They took out the sugar plantations. So when these people leave, you know, they knew this era was coming where the world was going to change, right? So they took out the pineapple, they took out the sugar, and what happened to Maui, and Maui changed. Now imagine, I never got a chance to go to Hawaii, but imagine me going to Maui as a kid and you could smell the sugar, you could smell the pineapples, and you traveling, and it's so beautiful because it's got pineapple and sugar cane. So over 10 years ago, Maui changed. They took out all the pineapple and they took out all the sugar cane, and they left the land like in California before the wildfires. See, what they don't tell you about the California wildfires is I told my wife about something called a controlled burn. When I was a kid, they had a controlled burn. And then the liberals came in, the woke people came in and said, you cannot burn anymore. The fire department used to go and burn up all the dry grass so that we didn't have wildfires, and it would stay beautiful and the green would come back. And you learned about the circle of life, right? They outlawed the controlled burn. And when the California wildfires came, everybody was surprised that they couldn't beat the fire. You know why they couldn't beat the fire? Because the fire had so much fuel because we stopped doing controlled burns because they said you can't do controlled burns no more. In Hawaii, they took out the pineapple plantation, the sugar plantation, and left all the same brush like in California. So when the fire came, it had so much fuel. And what KP said, he said, I was in Oahu the year in February for a week, wife and kids, man. Salute, man. Now, family, man, and taking this family on a beautiful vacation, man. Congratulations, man. So when we talk about how the fire happened, the same thing is happening in California. It's called a brush fire. And what are the conditions that were created to create this perfect storm? Well, you have a lot of dry brush. Well, perfect. Where did it come from? The pineapple plantations were taken away, the sugarcane plantations were taken away, and there were no investment. And the people who made all that money were not forced to reinvest into the land and make it a viable land so it would be lush and not ripe for fire. And then you know what else they did? They brought in cattle, and then they brought in cattle that are not native to Maui and Hawaii, and then they brought in African grass. This African grass to feed the cattle has been more like a weed, and they say it can grow 6 inches in an hour. And what happens is the grass grows high, and then it dries up, and this is what fueled the Maui fire. Same thing in California. I'll be driving on the freeway with my wife, and I point out all of this brush. And you know what my wife did? This is why I say I love my wife. She looked up on the phone about controlled burn, and she loved when we debate, you know, to win a debate. And she's so highly intelligent, high aptitude. So she looked it up and she said, Daddy, the controlled burn is outlawed. I said, get the fuck out of here. She said, yeah, and she found it. And it's actually climate legislation. So while we're having a debate on Fox News about climate control, if you don't pay attention, if you're not voting locally, there's climate legislation. And when she looked it up, she found in California, just like California gas, what the reason why California gas is more expensive is because we have climate legislation that makes our gas have a special blend, the only state in the whole union. And we got to buy it and mix it special for climate legislation. Well, guess what? There's climate legislation that outlawed the controlled burn. And that's why the California wildfires were so bad. I was like, damn. She found it and she won that debate. Shout out to Mrs. Perfect Timing. I'm like, I can't believe they outlawed the controlled burn. And they did it. They did it in the name of climate change, and it caused a motherfucking climatic event. Ain't that some shit? And a lot of y'all look up controlled burn. You might not know what a controlled burn is. And I don't even know if they had that legal on Maui. I'm just comparing the two things so you understand how you get this fire fueled the way it was fueled. It was ripe for it. And California wildfires was ripe for it because we had went through this whole period of not clearing the brush and California citizens not paying attention to local elections and watching what the climate change people, and this is where it comes in, and you ain't got to pick Democrat or Republican, but you got to say, God damn, y'all, we got to have some common sense. Whether you believe in climate control or not, if you're doing things that work, that are, is it antithetical? Y'all help me out in the chat, but are actually anti what you're preaching, it don't make no fucking sense. You creating a problem when you say you're doing it in the effort of climate change. So it's a lot to unpack with the Hawaii, the history of Hawaii, how the missionaries came to Hawaii, how the Dole family illegally took the throne from the Queen of Hawaii, turned Hawaii into a country opposing the U.S. That's the most powerful thing to me, that in order for them to turn Hawaii into a country, they had to be in opposition to the U.S. You have to leave now being an American citizen because now you created your own country and now you are separate and a different adjacent to America. And somehow they get enveloped back into America. And now he is the governor of the first governor of Hawaii. But it going back to Kev Gills, who I haven't seen on YouTube. Prayers for Kev Gills, prayers for his people and his channel and everything. You know, he always talking about God. I want to hear more people praying for people like that. Y'all want to get into some candy? I want y'all to go look at my recent videos. I got some funny videos up there for you guys. And I created the video Orange is the New Bunghole. I want y'all to go check that out. And it's pretty funny. And I got a couple of videos. I got the Kiki Do You Love Me video up. You know, it was supposed to be a short, but it was 1 minute and 1 second, so it didn't come out as a short. YouTube hate me, but it's all good. This little spoonful of sugar for everybody. A spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. So this is Sexy Red. My pussy pink, my booty hole brown. Pound town, pound me down. Pussy pink, my booty hole brown. So this is Sexy Red from that fame. And this is her doing sound check at a concert looking like Madea. This is Sexy Red. This is Sexy Red, the 12-year-old boy that y'all find attractive. Pause. You know, the bad body built, you know what I'm saying? This is the person y'all find attractive, and this how she really looked on stage. Y'all paying $200-300 to come see her talk about her booty hole brown, and she doing the sound check in a moo-moo, and the bonnet. Looking like Medea's stinking ass, and she ain't gonna wash her ass before the show. How many people want to bet dollars to donuts that she will not wash her ass before the show? If you grew up in a household and you know how that bonnet smell and what the smell is of a motherfucker who wear that around the house, it is a stench coming from them funky ass flippers from the bottom of that the foot funk stench mixed with the moo-moo milk And that nappy head bonnet that ain't came off for 7 days is a mixture of a trifecta of funkified. If you ever lived in the household with this hair-headed hooligan, this ripscallion, this heathenous heifer, with this heathenous heifer, this most unholy heathenous heifer, I said heifer, then you know what that smell is. And I'm telling you that she is not gonna wash her ass before the show. Why? Perfect. If I'm gonna wear this to the sound check, if I'm big, bold, and bad enough to wear this to the sound check, then no, Perfect. Why? You want me to waste time? You want me to waste time? I gotta get on the stage and get this money. See, it's niggas like you, Perfect. You don't want me to have no money. You want me to worry about washing my ass and being clean and how many men I slept with. Why do you care how many men I slept with? You care how many showers. When we talk about how many men, why the question of cleanliness never come up. God, why don't we just say because it's not clean, it's not clean, it's not clean. I am funky for me, funky for me. Why would we talk about the body count? How come we can't talk about the cleanliness? You know, the women who have a low body count. You know what they always brag about? They brag about not how tight, but how clean it is. I'm not making this up. Why would we talk about the body count? Cleanliness is next to godliness. When we talk about how many bodies you got, it because we want something clean. We don't want the bonnet. We don't want the moo-moo. We don't want the dirty foo-foo. We don't want it from you, no. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Tuesday. We don't want it. We've been telling you we don't want it, and you don't want to listen. Take that shit off. All right, Sexy Red. I don't know how that name sticks. Maybe because it's on the chain. There's nothing sexy or red about this motherfucker. I'm not making it up. It ain't nothing sexy or red about the motherfucker. Wait. We just call ourselves whatever we want. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, my name Perfect. I ain't mad, you know. Call yourself Sexy Red. You could be red. You could be Sexy Red. So, you know, we just having a little fun. Sexy Red, preparing for the concert, looking like Madea. Looking like Madea then got on stage trying to do a 16 real quick. Madea then stole the mic at Coachella. This is what happened when you bring your auntie to the concert. You told TT to stay at home. TT want to live her life vicariously through you. See, y'all think this Sexy Red. This ain't Sexy Red. This ain't Sexy Red. This sexy Fred right here. This ain't Sexy Red. This Sexy Fred right here. And this is the thing right here. You don't know who you be watching. You don't know. See, there's so many, man, robotic, body-built bitches out here. Y'all don't know who y'all listening to, who you watching. You be watching these girls. You think you be, you know, following them, fondling yourself. Number one, you should be touching yourself. Or I'm not even going to go there. You shouldn't be fondling yourself. But a lot of you guys is looking at these people, individuals, fondling yourself, and you don't even know if they robotic body built bitches or not. You know what I'm saying? So you look like her arm. She took off her arm for this. She might put it back on later. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a robotic body built bitch. Is you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, her body come apart in pieces. Did y'all ever see I'm gonna get you, sucker? The bitch was a bad little light-skinned bitch, and as the night went on, the bitch took off her left leg, her right arm, and you thought you was about to lay down with a sexy red. She had on some red too. She had red leather on. You could have called her sexy red, but she wasn't sexy red. She wasn't. No, she was a bad body built robotic bitch, and a lot of these bitches is like that bitch. That bitch was hopping on one leg with a nappy head trying to get Damon Wayans. Y'all remember that? That's your sexy red right there. And y'all surprised when y'all see her in this moo shoo moo foo with the funky cuckoo. I'm not surprised because I knew. I knew from the cuckoo. I knew from the cuckoo that the cuckoo was hoo the whole new. Y'all didn't pay attention to the poo-poo. I paid attention. I paid attention. Perfect Timing Podcast. I think let me see if I had something else. I think that's all I have for y'all. Did Biden show up to Miami? I mean, did Biden show up to Maui? They said Biden was gonna show up to Maui today. But I don't see. It's a live coverage of President Biden.
Are gone. Many parts of Lahaina is missing, and a piece of us, a piece of all of us is missing.
Had to undergo some of the security very tight, right? It takes a lot of effort for the press even to be able to be a part of this press pool.
Oh, absolutely, and for good reason. There's people that don't want the president here, and the Secret Service knows that. So we had to go through pretty extensive screening. You have to submit your credentials, your identification, and we actually had to do that twice because we had to move, and then we kind of got stuck behind the gate, and we had to come back through. But the Secret Service does a great job, and it wasn't too extensive, but obviously they have a really important job to do. But we saw that security, that increased security, really as early as this morning when we were reporting on Sunrise, Grace. You may remember we noticed more Homeland Security police at the airport. We noticed more explosive sniffing bomb dogs.
So we got Air Force One coming in. You know, we're gonna jump ahead and see.
Thing I wanted to note as well, and Daryl, you're talking about the brown grass that you see in the foreground, but above in West Maui, which is known for its strong winds, you can see just how cloudy and shrouded it is right now. And for days, we've been concerned about the remnants of Fernanda coming in and bringing in too much rain too quickly while they are still searching the area of Lahaina for victims. And starting this morning, we knew that there was going to be light rain, which is what we've been seeing.
Very dry with all the fuel, and that's because we had, the wet conditions that grew all those things earlier in the wet season. So now the dry season comes along without rain, and those grasses dry up. They're basically tinder, and then all that happens is whatever sparked it, which is still up for debate, whatever sparked it, just fanned it by those flames and really created that firestorm that just swept through so quickly.
I'm not sure if that's one of the cadaver dogs. I think there are dozens of teams that are still looking for the remains, and they have been working tirelessly in the heat. Guy, one thing I did want to ask you is, you know, when we went to Maui last
White people was a trip. Why do you got the president putting his hand licking the cadaver dog, y'all? This dog been out here digging through dead bodies and shit, and that's the first thing white people do is put your hand in the mouth of a fuck. Did y'all get that right there? Cadaver dog, the president kissing and rubbing and hugging on a dog that eats dead bodies. Look for dead bodies. Oh no, you fucking lying.
September, I believe you and I were talking about just how brown, how dry it was, how concerned we were about fires back in that time, because they've been experiencing drought for quite some time.
Quite some time, and it's normally dry, and you can see it. There's a visible line, right about Kaanapali, and it stretches all the way to Kihei, right? When you fly in, you see the West Maui Mountains on your left, you see Haleakala on your right, and they're brown right in that saddle, and that's where they're suffering from severe drought right now. And like you said, Grace, it is very concerning when you see it.
And we came back off that camera. It looks like the cameras are getting repositioned. But if you're just joining us, these are live pictures of President Biden's visit with First Lady Dr. Jill Biden. This is on Front Street in Lahaina, where they just met with first responders. You could see that the president and First Lady were really taking their time with each person. They also met with one person.
Well, I like her anyway. But her name is Maisie as well. And Jill Takuda, Representative Ed Chase, and Mayor Rick Basson. Rick, when we talked on the phone, you look like you played in defensive tackle for, I don't know who, but somebody good. But at any rate, I want to thank you for your leadership and during this unimaginable tragedy. To my left is the banyan tree, beloved by this community for over 150 years. Here in the former capital of the kingdom, Hawaii, that has stood for generations as a sacred spot of exceptional significance. One of the people who took me under his wing when I first got to the Senate was Danny Inouye. He used to talk about the kingdom of Hawaii. He came from Japan, but it was amazing to listen to him. Today is burned, but it's still standing. The tree survived for a reason. I believe it's a very powerful symbol of what we can and will do to get through this crisis. And for this, for as long as it takes, we're going to be with you. The whole country will be with you. You know, we will be respectful of the sacred grounds and the traditions.
What the hell is he talking about, y'all? He from Japan, but he told me about the history of Hawaii. What the hell? We can't make this shit up. You look like you play for a football team. I don't know, somebody good. And they do this by the banyan tree. It's so disrespectful. It's like a cartoon.
Rebuild the way the people of Maui want to build, not the way others want to build. We're going to rebuild the way the people of Maui want to build. But you know, it's going to be hard. America's deadly wildfire, the deadliest wildfire.
We're going to rebuild the way people from Maui want to build. It's going to be hard. He like that old man with that commercial with the dollar. Come on, almost got you. Oh, keep trying.
Wildfire in over a century. And Jill and I have what's left, walk Front Street, what's left of it. We've surveyed the damage from the air as well. The devastation is overwhelming. To date, 114 dead, hundreds of people unaccounted for.
God bless them. 114, over 1,000 still missing.
Remember when I got the call, my first wife and daughter, I was a young senator, and I got a call in Washington. I hadn't been sworn in yet. I wasn't old enough. And I was hiring staff in the Capitol at Teddy Kennedy's office. And I got a phone call saying from my fire department, the young first responder kind of panicked, "You got to come home. There's been an accident." I said, "What happened?" He said, "Your wife, she's dead. Come home, come home." The tractor trailer had broadsided her and killed her in a car accident along with my little daughter. And I remember all the way down from Washington home, wondering what a lot of people here are wondering. What about my two boys? How are they? They were in the car. I never got a read on that. Were they going to be all right? They were badly injured. Were they going to make it? Had they made it? Until I walked into the emergency room and I saw that they were there. The difference between knowing somebody's gone and worrying whether they're available to come back, two different things, you know. And I remember one of the people who helped me the most was Danny Inouye. He helped bring me back, so I know the feeling that many of the people in this town, this community, that hollow feeling you have in your chest, like you're being sucked into a black hole, wondering, will I ever get by this? You know, and it's one thing to know, but it's quite another thing to have to wait to wonder whether your family member is going to be okay. Imagine being a parent wondering whether your child is, where he is. I remember, as I said, you know, press reports of grandfathers crying for lost neighbors while trying to be strong for the ones who survived. Of a woman distributing clothing to survivors who says she didn't lose her home, but she lost her hometown. But I also want all of you to know the country grieves with you, stands with you, and will do everything possible to help you recover, rebuild, and respect culture and traditions when the rebuilding takes place. My administration has been in constant contact with the governor.
This is the guy I want to vote for again. He barely can get through this. There's no heartfelt sentiment. He doesn't step out of the written word to talk about anything that he sees, even the heartfelt testimonial from his dying family is written down. He's regurgitating everything, and he's not doing a good job at it. He is somebody who should be president.
Our congressional delegation and local leaders. As soon as I got the governor's request, I signed the major disaster declaration that mobilized the whole of government response, which means whatever you need, you're going to get. For example, the Coast Guard and Navy immediately supported maritime search and rescue operations, while the Army helped fire suppression. Here's what we've been doing since. First, we focused on search and rescue, which is still going on. Right now, there are over 450 search and rescue experts working round the clock. Second, I've identified FEMA's Administrator Griswold to lean forward, as she always has done, to help survivors get immediate aid. FEMA's quickly provided 55,000 meals, 75,000 liters of water, 5,000 beds, 10,000 blankets, working to help remove the debris, repair roads, and restore power. Additionally, my Department of Housing and Urban Development is working with the state to make sure survivors can move from emergency shelters into temporary housing to finally have a permanent place to call home as well. Small Business Administration is making low-interest federal disaster loans available to Hawaiian businesses, many of them we've seen here burned to the ground, homeowners and renters, and nonprofits. If you need help, you can visit FEMA's Disaster Recovery Center at Maui College or go to disasterassistance.gov. Small Business Administration is making low-interest federal disaster loans available to Hawaiian businesses, many of them we've seen here burned to the ground, homeowners and renters, and nonprofits. If you need help, you can visit FEMA's Disaster Recovery Center at Maui College or go to disasterassistance.gov. Disasterassistance.gov. Today, I'm appointing Bob Fenton, who's here. Where are you, Bob? There he is. I'm appointing Bob Fenton as our Chief Federal Response Coordinator for Maui to lead our long-term recovery work. He's one of the nation's most experienced disaster response and recovery experts in America. And I'm directing him to make sure the community has everything the federal government can offer to heal and to rebuild as fast as possible. And we're focused on what's next. That's rebuilding the long term, rebuilding for long term, and doing it together to help get us back on our feet, to rebuild the way we want to rebuild, by making sure your voices are heard, by respecting your traditions, by understanding the deep history and meaning of this sacred ground, and establishing your community not to change its character, but reestablish it. We're also going to bring capabilities to help you rebuild so your critical infrastructure is more resilient in the future. All this matters. Let me close with this. From stories of grief, we've seen so many stories of hope and heroism, of the aloha spirit. Every emergency responder put their lives on the line for us, save others. Everyday heroes, neighbors helping neighbors, Native Hawaiian leaders offering solace and strength. And this banyan tree, one called it a diamond in the rough of hope. Another referred to fire cannot reach its roots, what he said. Fire cannot reach its roots. That's Maui. That's America. And so the people of Hawaii, we're with you for as long as it takes, I promise you. May God bless all those we've lost. May God find those who we haven't determined yet. And may God bless you all. May God protect our troops. Now I'm happy to turn this over to the governor, Governor Green.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before my formal remarks, which are brief, I wanted to say that I was deeply moved by the president as he shared with us by phone about his experiences of loss and how Senator Inouye helped bring him back, and how as time has passed, he's back here with us in Hawaii. You could feel a deep, deep commitment to playing that forward and caring for our people. So, thank you, Mr. President. We've been through so much together in recent years. We had 3 years of the COVID pandemic, which left us isolated. We've had volcanic eruptions in 2018 and 22, which ravaged Big Island. And there are scars here in our people's lives from opioids and homelessness. But none of this has been as tragic as the fire in Lahaina, which over these past 13 days has come down on us like a mountain. The amount of loss we've experienced in such a short time will be difficult for us to even fathom, but we'll hold each other up. Our hearts are broken and we'll heal. But with the assistance of President Biden, the federal government, and the love and compassion and resources throughout our state, we know we have the support to lift us up as we find those who are lost. We'll deal with the tragedy. The president, within 6 hours, met our needs with the federal movement. 6 hours. I don't think that's ever happened before. So it's our deepest appreciation to you and Dr. Biden. Thank you. The people of Lahaina will need time, we know, to heal, to recover, to grieve. And thank you, Mr. President, for understanding that and for sharing, as we've shared, that Lahaina belongs to its people. And we're committed to rebuilding the way the people of Lahaina want. We want to emphasize that again. This land is for the people of Maui, and it's reserved as they return and rebuild. So we've instructed, with the wisdom of the president and the wisdom of other first responders and FEMA, to reach out to our Attorney General and enhance criminal penalties for those who would take advantage of our victims. She will share more about that in coming days. Right now, I want to speak to the world. When I say this, of course, no one can travel to West Maui right now. We will share when that is possible again. Only returning residents and authorized emergency relief workers should come here now. But all of the other areas of Maui, friends, and the rest of Hawaii are safe. They're open, they're available. The mystique and love here, the aloha, is here for you. And the reason I say that is because when you come, you will support our local economy and help speed the recovery of the people that are suffering right now. The thousands and thousands of family members that may have had loss who will still have to care for the others that remain. Briefly, to support those who have been affected by the fire, the American Red Cross has stepped up. Please support them. They're supporting our people. The Hawaii Community Foundation, again, another place you can lean in. We will assure that those resources go to the people that are suffering. Finally, there may never be another time in our state's history, ever, when we need to summon the spirit of aloha as deeply as we summon it today. So for the good of everyone who has been impacted, share aloha. Thank you for making that a part of what we are. The world is watching, and we will show them the true strength of our culture, our people, and all that we believe. And as they watch us heal, protect, and nurture one another, the world will be reminded why it loves and embraces Hawaii, and we embrace it. Aloha.
$150 old, the historic one that so many people have gravitated toward, and something that the president himself referred to. He said that the tree has been burned, but it is still standing. And he said he believes that's a very powerful symbol. He said the country is with you. Fire cannot reach its roots. That's Maui. And I think maybe that is a message that he hopes to send out to all the people of Maui, as many of them try to come together and heal.
One message that the president has often delivered during times of tragedy and in various disasters that he's talked about his own personal tragedy in losing his wife and his 1-year-old.
Sound like they turned this into a campaign stop, y'all. And it sound like they got the speech before we got the speech. They talking about the speech like they wrote the speech. It's supposed to be about Maui. What's going on? So like you trying to run for president instead of being concerned about Maui. Sound like y'all trying to help him run for president instead of being concerned about Maui.
Has turned his house in the Lahaina Homesteads area. This is Hawaiian Homesteads area. He has
in their homes out. They got trapped. So, you know, these are the questions, you're right, have to be the immediate decision making that were by the first agencies that were involved. And what was interesting about this was how quickly the governor announced that this was happening, how quickly the attorney general announced. It's obviously the governor's doing. But it was within days. It was while the community was asking all these questions of Maui County, like, what did you know? When did you know it? Who did you tell? Clearly, the emergency warning system collapsed. Was that because it had already collapsed because there was power outages and the cell phone towers were down? Was it so crippled that maybe someone should have started physically going out and saying, look, we don't have the ability to warn you anymore, so maybe we should start getting people out? Those are the kind of questions that are going to be asked very intensely over the next little while. Tomorrow there's a county council meeting. I imagine it's going to come up there. So that's a big thing still ahead.
And frankly, those are the questions that should be asked, because if you hear the stories of how little time so many families had to get out, and many families who did not make it because they didn't have a warning.
People died in their beds.
And to think that this could happen in any community in our state is frightening, right?
Yeah, I think that one thing just to keep in mind, 60, 70, 80 mile an hour winds blowing flames through a community that is tightly built, overbuilt, heavily forested. You know, everybody's got a mango tree or a monkey pod tree over their house because it's hot in Lahaina. So you've got this huge amount of fuel, probably more fuel there than they had in the grassland where the fire started. There was no way that that fire was going to slow down enough to get people who were already in their homes out. They got trapped. So, you know, these are the questions, you're right, have to be asked, but given the tools that people had at the moment.
But to have no warning, Daryl, in this day and age of cell phones, and
Cell phones were down, the power was down.
I understand, but it's still, there are a lot of questions that we got to get answered.
That was what was extremely frustrating, being on the ground in Lahaina, not in Lahaina, I'm sorry, in Wailuku and Kahului that day, trying to get answers. It was so frustrating. Even the second day, we couldn't get to the mayor. He would not talk to us. I literally rapped on his door on his car once to get him to pay attention to us. And he didn't seem to think that involving the public and the media in responding was something to do. And so, yes, that added the frustration. But until we hear the answers, we're not going to know what the options were for these folks.
We did want to make a note that earlier when we saw the kupuna giving the gift to President Biden, the First Lady, and we lost the signal that was actually on purpose because we were told that this was in accordance with community wishes. That's from the White House, and that's why the rest of the ceremony was off record and we couldn't watch it.
That's right. They were beginning an uli, and that is something that is very sacred for many people. We do know that Kamana'opono Crab was there. Also, Archie Kalepa was there. He is a 9th generation from Lahaina. Archie Kalepa, Hokulea captain, almost lost his house. The flames came very close, and in turning that immediately, he has turned his house in the Lahaina Homesteads area. This is Hawaiian Homesteads area. He has turned it into a hub for the community where people have stayed.
A lot of information, man. People died in their homes, died in their beds. They addressed the dry, overgrown grass and how it inflamed things. And now there's an investigation. And now how the lack of response from the mayor. I seen the mayor. I didn't like his response either. Man, it's been a great podcast, man. I'm going to get up out of here. The family going to be on their way home. This went a little bit longer than we normally go. You know, we only like, this supposed to be an hour podcast. 2 hours at the most. 2 hours at the most. We ain't doing long podcasts no more, but I wanted to unpack that Atlanta RICO and build off of the Atlanta Public Schools RICO. You know, it was one thing I wanted to show about the Atlanta Public Schools RICO. On that video, the comments. As we go into this, thing with the Trump indictment, it's the comments. Because people will say, perfect, I'm going after the DA. I want y'all to see these comments. It says, there is a special place in hell for the DA and prosecutors in this case. Shameful. Talking about Fani Willis as it refers to the Trump indictment, the Atlanta Public School indictment, the YSL indictment. So if people think I'm being cruel and I'm going after Fani Willis, I just want you to check out that video, Atlanta Public Schools, the true story, that book that these two women wrote, and look at the comment section. This comment is a year ago. Thank you for highlighting this travesty of justice. This is what Trump is saying about the Fani Willis DA office. This is a total miscarriage of justice. Why won't the Georgia State Supreme Court hear the case considering such erroneous charges? So what actually happened live from the beginning? Injustice abysmal is unbelievable. Injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. They picked the wrong people. They need to ask for forgiveness. Why are they going to jail at all? In a predominantly black community and black school system, it wouldn't happen in a predominantly white. Nope. In a predominantly white privileged neighborhood and communities, unbelievable and heartbreaking and unthinkable. It has to stop before it happens to somebody else in the future generation. It has to stop before it happens to somebody else. It has to stop before it happens to somebody else. It has to stop before it happens to somebody else. Too late. Got him. Got him. Very important story. Is it? Nobody listening. Huh? Just checking out the comments, man. This is really sad. So, I just wanted to show the comments as people going to champion Fani Willis because they want Donald Trump to go down. But they were just saying about her tactics, and Donald Trump is bringing up those same tactics. Y'all have a good day. That's been the broadcast. That's the ball game. We out.